do 1.680 on those odds, and 2.06 of course for the Hellraiser side. If you want to take advantage of that, then there's links underneath the Twitch channel. Go ahead and go to our betting partners at LootBet. Get 10 free CSGO spins and up to €100 bonus on your deposit. It's pistol round. Nealon's got the utility. The kit is on nobody for Hellraiser. Straight pistols and Kevlar, and contact taken towards second mid and Banana.
I'll tell you what, they're trying to bait problem in getting aggressive because there's a double stack up through Banana on this T side. So if the CTs start to take Banana, they could be absolutely ripped apart from this tower.
I think one problem just set around this corner up on top of the broken wall. Norbert's boosted, ready to try and take a receival, but in general was passive from K23 towards this this Banana area. They have taken some sort of mid control in second mid and apartments. No brackets area though. It's still very passive from K23 as it is passive from Hellraisers.
They're really slowing it down. They're just waiting for an overextension to come out from Hellraisers. Now, they're going to smoke off the Moto position at this A bomb side, but not really move with it all too much. Finally establishing this brackets control, and they're waiting for the aggression to come out from Banana, but for Hellraisers, it's going to come out towards long from JR.
Contact established, two players seen. Damage traded back and forth between JR and Nealon. Face up, shot's going to continue. Keels rounds that corner and takes him down. Now it's all left to the wraparound. The B commitment from the Banana control, and as they get Kalinka, it will be problem to fall very shortly after the flat. Flowich next, down on CT spawn, and all is left to a 1 versus 5. Hellraiser is going to be conceding this pistol to K23.
Tell you what, like, even though they're absolutely destroying the pistol round, what they were trying to go for did not work at all. They left the tower in towards that Banana position, smoked off Moto, and tried to wrap around through Arch to try and force the B players to get aggressive, but it didn't happen at all. And in the end, they realized, hang on, we can't keep this boost for too much longer. We're realizing the fact that it's just not working. Let's just try and wide swing. We see Norbert getting a couple of kills towards that broken wall position, and no one goes down from K23. So what looked to be a bit of an awkward standpoint on the pistol works out quite nicely. What a shot coming out from Problem.
We've gotten damage at least. They were all bunched up there towards the top of the stairs.
Oh!
And JR follows suit with another good headshot. Okay, this force bite from Hellraisers could sustain quite a lot of damage. I've got 3 AKs in for K23, so they keep most of their main weapons in check. But even so, some decent resistance held out by Hellraisers and a chance to take the round here.
Big nade up towards the top of Banana, but one thing you certainly mentioned, Jay, is the fact of these force buys in the pregame. And look, we mentioned that CIS teams are normally pretty good at it. Didn't really mention too much about the Hellraiser side, and they're holding on to a 5-on-3. Now from here, they don't need to take any advantageous duels. The scout again from Problem. Man, he's on fire with this weapon.
Wow. That is a 5-on-2 game by Scout on a D-Gore, but finally Problem gets shut back down by Keels. He's got Flaric in the back line, 100 HP, the only player on his CT side with 100 HP. He'll be ready to try and receive them coming out of the gate. He saw one player, taps up, doing damage, does not get the kill, but the second face against KDO will drop in. Keels got such low HP to deal with across the entire CT board. Will try and smoke down long, go for a bomb plant here. They're coming in real thick and fast though. Close quarters combat from the Hellraiser side. The Mac 10 could win things out, but Lion goes down, and the AK continues facing, does not see the player. Mini Pick gets Kalinka in the end for a 3K. Keel's got an ace clutches as well, and 20 seconds left. They know the pressure is against him, they know the time is against him, and if he goes for a last second plant, there'll be no opportunity to fake it. He's in the corner, trying to get one of the CTs to face forward, and now finally has got to force the bomb plant here. Batlines taps it once, they're not peeking, they're not peeking. Now towards the backline, he will 100% have to confirm it, and JR rounds his corner, will take him down, but the timer ticks too far, and Hellraisers get a first to respond back on a CT board.
You've got to think that's a pretty decent recovery for K23, considering the fact they're in a 2-on-5. But for Chaos there's just not really too many options that he can go through. Look at these scout shots.
Ooh. Oh, unreal.
And one thing as well, that K23, they can often struggle against the force buyers and deliver some strong force buyers. So that was sort of very interesting to sort of see how they just took some very individual duels, didn't really use a lot of utility. And Hellraisers, they just had crisp aim to get those early advantages.
Perfect shot to the perfect frags, and not quite the perfect round from Hellraisers, but a good enough one to get them past the line here and get their first on the board. And rifles out across most of them here, 2 M4s, 2 SMGs. AK and Vakil's the only thing that was saved, of course, from that last round, but forced by back across it here for the K23 camp. I'm going to try to then get a good response back in against the Hellraisers side, but you can see how the lines have changed here from both the attack and defensive force. So far pushed up towards Banana in particular for Hellraisers. Problem, and Kalinka ready to take contact on a flash around the corner. The K23 being very passive about this position.
Trying to get them to force out into the open, and all the CZ reload takes so much time. And this B bomb site's open. Hellraisers might even think about going for the save here. Now they're on the disadvantage in a 3-on-5.
Wow, we talked about those forced by and half by rounds, and here they come out. Both Hellraisers and K23. Clearing out the bomb site is next priority. They probably should realize that the 2 players standing here were the only ones remaining, and they picked up an SMG for it. KDO on 18 points of health. The AK still in play for Kios. Bomb plant now secured by Nealon. So bonus money for K23 regardless of how the rest of this round plays out. But smokes up, JR will take face in third player. Just about going to back him up, and they're not going to go for a safe call here. They're going to try and retake it. I think they know that KDO's low. I think that they know that they've only got disadvantageous weapons, so the M4s could overwhelm, but still Mo will peek in, get 1 frag. Lions down to 42 points of health. Flourish peeking in with the M4, desperate to get a pick back in the back line, and time is ticking away. Now they finally fall back and start the save here. Facing from Keels though, denies Giant, and it's all left to Flourish. Gets himself 2 kills, so at least damage has been done to K23 in this round. Is very expensive for them, but Flourish is not going to get away with the round.
He's trying to get an AK from the bomb radius. Does he get lucky? I don't think any of them flew towards him. But I tell you what, Jay, I was really hoping that we weren't going to get these sort of like force buy victories in the early stages of this map, and I don't think you can get as early as this. We've gone back and forward rounds now twice between K23 and Hellraisers. Flourish does a lot of damage, so keeping the economy very low for this T side, which is certainly going to make an impact going into the next round, because Hellraisers, they're going to have to force again, Jay.
You say I don't think we can get earlier than this, as if there's rounds before round 1 and 2 and 3. Well, very early starts coming in for both sides. Forces back and forth, back in with a rebuy for Hellraisers. That 1 M4 on Flourish, backed up by a FAMASA problem, and of course the standard set of Deagles SMGs. SMG in particular taking first contact towards long as they look for brackets control. 2 players set here towards the short position. Flourish is actually boosted up on top of the balconies, gets Mo to start things off.
That's actually a really nice position coming out from the M4 of Flourish, the only player with an M4 going into round 4 that he saved in from that last round. I'm running 2 players here at the B bomb side. So just a single lurk from K23 out towards brackets to sell a little bit of a fake. Resmoke coming down is going to buy a little bit of time for the B defenders. Oh my goodness, Jay. Don't tell me this is going to happen again, because now we've got a 5-on-3 advantage for the Hellraisers.
Oh, the pace has been set. It has been set. Deagle set, and Norbert can take him down. Now Flourish left alone in the backer pit. Smoke out towards the library position, the moto smoke, if you will. Actually, not quite a moto smoke, actually, just back towards the cross position, so that way they can make their way in towards long if necessary. They're trying to fake out a potential wraparound. Lion set to try and back up Flourish here, the M4 ready to receive. Flashes will keep him blind temporarily. Sees one of the bomb site with that gun barrel. Almost lines up 2, but Norbert finds the trade. Bomb's been dropped, can get planted.
What?
Now Lion falls to a 2-on-2. Should have waited for backup there.
Yeah.
And that will leave us in probably a bit more of an awkward stance here for the Hellraisers retake.
That's a big misread. That is, I don't know what Lime is thinking there, to just push forward when they've got a 3-on-2 advantage, knowing the fact that the B defenders are quite low. It's going to make this round so much more difficult. Norbert and KDO just trying to hide as deep as they can into the side. Now that smoke is going to be able to smoke off the pit position. Norbert on the side doing so much work. The mini pit player trying to pull a distraction, and KDO to be able to win it out in the end. And I tell you what, that's a big mistake there from Lime. And I don't know whether that's just overconfidence or it's just sort of thinking that you could just win out the round from a solo play. But that really wasn't necessary.
No, and I think that's ultimately what cost them the round there. If they had a 3-on-2 post-plant position, they could have won it back. And for Hellraisers, when you're constantly force buying, that's all you need to do. That damage does not matter at this stage. Just so long as you can keep getting the rounds on the board, you will keep K23's economy in check. So silly mistakes like that, I think, is what's forced this tactical pause out for Hellraisers. They had the round in the palm of their hands, a 5-on-3 situation turned back to a 2-on-2. Of course, the buyout from K23 will not be looking amazing, so it could still be justifiable for a force buyback from Hellraisers, and indeed that's what they're going to be doing. SMG for Flourish, upgrade pistols in Kevlar, so it's not the most defined of force buys, but it's a force buy nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised as well that they are forcing. I suppose the money line has just been so wrecked for the HELLRAISERS in these early stages that they're just going to have to get another force buy through. Even for K23, winning out now a couple rounds in a row, their economy is not looking great. They've got a couple of SMGs to work with. Look at the aggression out from mid. Very fast. What? Diving into the Mexico position. What is going on? They're finding so many kills, Jay.
And they've got it to 1-on-3. What the hell is going on here? I don't get it. I do not get it. Nealon, the AK backed up towards the T stairs, backs a turn towards him, could sneak his way past them. Deagle's up, he takes out one. Now running his way back here towards this banana position. Smoke to buy him some cover, could secure a bomb plant. A one-on-one been forced back by the T side.
He knows that Lime's there, aggressive towards mid, so probably gets the read that he's not going to rotate a big long flank out towards that CT position. And that's why you can see Nealon starting to reposition in towards CT, get him eyes onto Banana. And you've got to think for Lime, this could be a very, very big clutch. Nealon's actually playing in the graveyard position, so for Lime, there is the potential of just trying to stick this bomb.
Heard the footsteps. Is he suspecting him to go silent? He's got to know now he's definitely on the bomb site here. No kit. Tap once. Flashbang in from construction will reveal his position. He just faces right towards that flashbang. Completely blinded off, and now no information, no time has been left for the lone SMG. And a great post plant there from Nealon. I don't think he'll escape the bomb blast radius, though. Oh, no, he just about does.
Just.
Skin of his teeth stuff is for the board of K23, and damage has been done. So they're just going to continue to just keep the economy so low for the T side. I don't know how Flowers was allowed this much control to get straight down to Mexico, get the kill, and then double up towards stairs. Like, that's just a play that should never, ever work.
It shouldn't. That was like unbelievable from Flaric, and they realized the fact the economy is low from K23. I don't know if I like this though from HELLRAISERS. They're forcing the issue again, Jay, only with the fact that they made that round so expensive. They're going aggressive mid again.
And the AWP is now in play once again. M4's push up. Lions allowed that first pick. SMG of the likes of the CT side gets traded back and forth 4-on-3. AWP suppressed now towards stairs. The bomb's in its control at least. They've gained banana and mid control. One player's pushing up the apartments, could catch JR off guard. Can't quite seem to find the man. And in general, T-side suppression has actually been very successful. HELLRAISERS has come out with a pretty decent stance in the round.
They're in a great position. The only thing that maybe would have made that round a little bit better is if they got bomb control, but it was so deep into T-spawn that they couldn't aggress any further. So now they've got this 4-on-3, they can just fall back. They don't need to continue the aggression. And it's been very scrappy from HELLRAISERS so far. It's been very in your face, very aggressive on these force buys. And that's probably how you want to play these rounds out, especially when you've got those MP9s. You want to try and get them up close and personal. K23, Norbert is the timing on that swing is just so perfect from the long players.
Now 2 are left standing for K23, one of which is the AWP and Mo on less than half health. Jump face, sees his man, does not get the kill for it. There's a Molotov on Keel to try force out that cubby position on the long control. The problem is so ready to trade it. Both the rifles are set up here, actually. The face in. Gotta get this kill, and problem shuts him down. Mo's left alone to save the weapon. There's no way he's making this 1-on-4. He's got to back up. CT flag coming close. Does get that one frag at least. An upgrade pistol for him, but eventually the force buys work. HELLRAISERS. You mentioned the scrappy rounds, and I was going to say how it only gets you so far in scrappiness if you can only get the damage being done to the CT camp, but this is one of those rounds where finally it actually works out for them.
Yeah, and I'm not a massive fan of rounds like this because the fact is, you know, even if you get them close, but you're still losing the rounds. Yeah, you keep forcing and you keep getting the economy low, but you keep offering up rounds to K23. So finally we see a response. The CTs are able to pick up 3 AKs, and now it's got to be a force buy back for the T side. So look, these first 6 rounds that we've seen so far have been both teams having a really unstable economy. Even for K23 with the lead, they've not been able to build up any kind of bank. The rounds have been very, very expensive. Now, they do have the AWP for Mo, so there is that kind of bonus, Jay. But all in all, there really isn't a lot for this T side to work with going into round 7.
Yeah, I mean, force is back and forth seems to be the name of the game so far, so you can expect this from K23. Ultimately trying to win the round, but Still in a bit of an awkward position to try and do so here. I mean, realistically, the best they're expecting is damage. And they're just taking all the damage right now with the rifles. HELLRAISERS much more calm and collected in this round. K23 just can't quite seem to find the angle to force the issue.
A good stack coming out from HELLRAISERS towards this A bomb site. They have that rotator of Kalinka sort of out towards the archway that can rotate quickly back to the B bomb site if necessary. Now, Problem's just going to re-smoke top banana. Now, I was kind of surprised that he's actually saying this aggressively rather than just falling back to the side. But he's going to get some information that he's not hearing any footsteps and not seeing any utility to this banana position.
Boost up for the AWP, trying to duck down, silently creep off that boost area. Utility set. Sandbag seen by Problem. Did they see him back? Flashes come over. He sees them all. Gets 1 and 2 and 3. Easy. Deagle back for Nealon. Doesn't get anything. Problem up for the ace. Kios can trade it. Deny that much. Trying to get Kalinka as well. If you get a bomb plant here, 15 seconds to do so. No, he opts to grab the AWP instead. Got Lime in the back lines though. AWP close. And he gets the closing frag here. So HELLRAISERS coming back in to try and equalize against K23. A much more confident round coming out for the CT side. Should probably break this wall of attrition at last.
That's a big round coming out from Problem, and you could see he was hiding, waiting for that flashbang to pop, playing anti-flash, and as soon as it pops, they are just so blind on that T side. Ends up getting 4 kills before getting traded. And that is a massive, massive round. And obviously these fantastic codes up for you guys to use at home. Malta V and Malta V15 for a little bit of cash in your pocket. And a 15% refill bonus only at hellcase.com. Open up some sick cases and get some sick skins, Jay.
I'm disappointed your segues have taken a bit of a dive in the last week, mate. Like,
you reckon? I need to work on them a little bit. All right, I'm going to have to find some sort of pun to work with it next time.
You said a massive round. You could have said some massive codes to go with it, you know?
Oh,
like, come on.
Mate! I can't believe I didn't write this down.
Get with your sellout plugs, Dwayne. Come on, dude. Eco cleaned up by HELLRAISERS. 3 frags for Kalinka. Plenty of cash in the bank now for the CT camp, and the buyers coming through for K23. Ooh, bit harsh for Kios, though. A PP buys in for this. What is going on there?
Had a misbuy?
I mean, he spent 4 grand, so like he hasn't got enough to go for Kevlar. What is this? I don't know what he spent the 4 grand on, but just that might be a problem.
Well, I think he dropped an AK to KDO. I think that's what happened. He must have... Hang on, I don't know what happened. Anyway, look, HELLRAISERS taking this banana control. They've been able to take banana pretty much every single round. The nade placement onto KDO does so much damage. And I tell you what, HELLRAISERS now getting these rifle out are really starting to look comfortable on this CT side, doing a hell of a lot of damage.
First kill found on Nealon. If Keels could potentially recover that weapon that he dropped. Flashes over towards the short control. Norbert and Keels taking the peek. Dindieri's back from the city camp with further flashes coming forward. Kalinka allows forward face, gets himself 2 picks, and the lack of Kevlar will hurt Keels in that one. 2 left standing in a 4-on-2 situation. And this looks like HELLRAISERS will take the lead on CT.
Looking really strong. I'm loving their aggression on the city side. They're so proactive over the map. They're always looking to try and get aggressive. And it seems like even for the timings, a lot of the time it's working out fantastically. There's T's just either playing anti-flash or just not holding a certain position where they're just getting pushed. And we saw what Kalinka was able to do there, being flashed into brackets. And again, even for Mo trying to back off Flarich with the perfect swing. 5 rounds on the board. Problem didn't quite pick up that AK in time. But they take the lead, Jay, and this has pretty much reset the economy for just a half buy for the T's.
Yeah, losing the AK is not too much of a worry, I think, for HELLRAISERS. If they were up against another force back, another rifle round, then sure, but no, they should be cleaned up relatively easily. I mean, I say that with a pinch of salt because, you know, it's K23. Upgrade pistols. Kevlar on just Norbert and KDO, so it's not the best of buys here. They're definitely saving for the big weapons and the big guns coming out here. Nade stacks, and Flarich will take some damage. It's Liam there with the opening kill on Nealon, though. Spray completely blind. Flarich gets 2 lined up through the smoke, gets a 3rd, and now KDO is all that remains. Bats coming in. Of course, bomb drop to the CT favor. They will catch him in the end. It's Flarich there with the USP execution headshot. 4 kills to his name, and 6 to the board of HELLRAISERS.
He's not doing bad, 17 and 3. He's doing all right so far. And it all really came down to just how aggressive he's been, especially with that MP9 is probably where he like mopped up most of his kills. But look, that round right there, getting a massive multi-frag, just spamming through that top banana smoke, finding so much impact. And I'm kind of surprised that even with how scrappy this has been for the majority of this half, that we haven't seen either team taking a tactical pause just to kind of say, right, this can't continue. And JR with the run boost coming up just misses that opening duel.
Bit of shaky aim there, couldn't quite stabilize it. Overcooked, then tried to overcompensate with the flick. That does leave them pretty suppressed here towards this boiler room brackets control, but HELLRAISERS backing up here, going to go towards a bit more of a banana lane. So once again, default here from K23. Much less passive than before. Still flashing around the corner. Kalinka sees two and takes them both down. These entries towards banana are looking solid here from HELLRAISERS.
And one thing that HELLRAISERS is doing a really great job out on CT side is every time they get aggressive, they've got utility to back it up. Another flashbang coming out from Kalinka, and finally this time around, it doesn't work out. And K23 might just turn up the heat and try and go quickly into this B bomb site.
Wouldn't be surprised. Smokes up, Keels trying to find entry here. Smoke down from Norbert. Meanwhile, towards that cross position, Molotov's back up here, and flashes do go over. They're going to push through the flames. It looks like they might just do here. Incendiary's out. Norbert sneaking his way through CT. This could be a big flank. They've got a little bit of time to work with. They've got to act relatively quickly, and JR has just missed the marker to catch off the backstabbing player. Lime specs it though, still gets the kill for it, and HELLRAISERS holding solid defense here on CT side. Re-smoke down towards cross. They know that Lime's low. They do swing on problem, take back that frag. AWP trying to fire through the coffins. They get the 2-on-2 situation, and Mo catches JR blind.
Oh, straight through the smoke, and now it's all down to Flourish. We've seen how much damage he's been able to do so far in this matchup, and this is really his time to shine. Smoke and a flashbang and a kit to work with that AK-47, and K23 have just brought this back, getting the advantage going into the post plant, and for Flourish needs to try and isolate these picks, sees the first player onto Kios, and it's all down to the one-on-one. Mo is not going to find the shot. Another round going the way of HELLRAISERS, and Flourish is going to continue on this form.
Unreal. Absolutely unreal there on the clutch. 2 kills to Flourish. And they were caught so flat-footed in this round, K23. From the word go, Kalinka facing in. I don't even think the flashbang blinded them fully either. And of course, this retake, even better here. Perfect reads from Flourish, perfect movement, perfect shooting accuracy. HELLRAISERS bringing that round back from the brink for a 7-4. And the bomb plant will enable a rebuy back from K23, but they need to get some rounds on the board here.
Yeah, look, they've certainly struggled so far on this T side. Oh, the aggression. This time it's on a gun round, Jay.
They can't make this work. They can't make this work. There you go. KDO finds the first frag. Kalinka trades it. Lime's still there. Norbert has no idea. JR's going to get picked back. Frag back. AWP lands a teammate wallbang straight on KDO. And yes, the mid-aggression does work.
Oh, even Chaos can't find anything. And I tell you what, I haven't had a massive experience of casting HELLRAISERS, at least in this edition, maybe like a handful of times this year. But I tell you what, I have not seen this playstyle from them before. They are so aggressive on CT side. We have seen, what, 3-4 rounds now where they've just started pushing down through mid. And K23, it almost seems like they're so pressured that they have to just hold in T-spawn to start the round off just to wait for this aggression.
HELLRAISERS once again picks easy for the AWP. JR having a good couple of rounds so far, still missing some of the big shots though. Finding the opener, Limes there to back him up, take out Mo next towards the mid-control, and of course the half-back should be dealt with relatively easy by these rifles. Just picking them apart easy. Problem, gets 2 picks, Norbert last player left. And how easily these rounds are manhandled by HELLRAISERS. We talked about some of the consistent performances from K23 and how they can lack them in some certain contexts. Well, right now they're lacking a lot of consistent performances. Look at the board comparison here. 13 frags at the highest to Kios versus just 4 over on the likes of KDO and Mo. And yes, they've got some high rollers on HELLRAISERS as well, but the spread is just so much more, so much closer here.
You've got to think for K23, like, how do you even play against this playstyle? Like, you can't do anything on T-side. You can't set yourself up for a default. You can't slow it down. You can't change the pace. And that's one thing that the T-side love to work with, is being able to control the pacing of the game. But they haven't been able to. The massive amount of nades to Banana again, and just swinging out on this CT side, winning out so many of these trades. Good shot from Mo to return, and now it's starting to get very chaotic on the T side.
Finally, a man advantage game for K23, but only after massive chaos down towards the top of Banana. And Flowich will reposition towards the A side. He's read this pretty well, but going to get caught on the side, looking the wrong way against Keels. That's an easy frag for K23 to secure a fifth at long last. Has taken quite the amount of time to get to this position, though. HELLRAISERS backing out the double op setup here for round 15 because they've got money, so they can absolutely afford to.
Wow, that was so chaotic. There was so many gunfights everywhere on the map. There was a big contention out towards Banana. We saw like 2 CTs and 2 T side players just trying to brawl it out a little bit from mid. Apartments was big dueling coming out from Chaos. And HELLRAISERS, maybe they might need to go back to something a little bit passive, but not before JR's going to be out of strike, and he might even try and look for a little bit more.
And he does get a second as well. Flowich following suit on Norbert. And these rounds have been sheer decimation. This was the worst case scenario for K23. Keel's last man standing, 1-on-4, looking for a 10-5 half for the HELLRAISERS side. Does find that one kill, has A-site control, but does not have a bomb to go with it, and he realizes that he's probably just going to be left out of this round. Scope in, hoping for exits, hoping to pad his stats. But for round 15, they won't mean much, especially as Lime comes in from Apartments, shuts down the headshot, gets 10-5 on the board for the HELLRAISERS side. And, I mean, again, we talked about the inconsistent performances from K23. This was probably one of the most lackluster performances we've seen so far from this team.
I mean, one more point to sort of bring forward from HELLRAISERS is that they've been able to pretty much be undefeated in Malta Vibe so far. They've not lost a single Inferno map. And you look at those odds, how much they've shifted, Jay. 1.16 now up for the HELLRAISERS, and they were at like 2 something at the beginning of the map. So that's really started to shift up.
And I think something we may not have taken into account, obviously, is K23 have only played this map a handful of times in the past, none of which have been in Malta Vibes. And HELLRAISERS using that lack of experience to their favor as they just enter here on the pistol round. Headshots back from KD and Norbert do turn things to a 2-for-1. And a 4-on-3, smokes down, bomb being dropped. Norbert's still towards the side. Good flashbang timing, gets himself a couple more kills. And K23 finally gets some confidence on their CT side.
And that's what we want to see. That is the start that K23 really need to bring forward. It's just a little bit of confidence. We saw some great pistol shots coming out. Dropping that bomb in the open makes it so much more difficult for HELLRAISERS to this. They can't fall back. They have to try and continue fighting. The flashbangs coming in are fantastic. And HELLRAISERS, they're going to force the issue, even without a bomb plant, Jay, because why not? They're CIS teams.
I mean, we saw how well it worked for them over in the first half, so why not go for it this round? Nades up, stacks could come through. Got some flashbangs to face forward here for Norbert. Nades to respond back from the T side. Of course, both teams are going to get suppressed. Nealon's going to take a little bit of early damage. Not much in the grand scale of things. The blind shots from K23 will end up tagging Flourish to 14 in the end, blind through that smoke. So not much being gained, no early kills, but damage being done.
K23 have been able to establish this banana control too. If they re-smoke it, they can take it completely. And just leaving Kios to do a bit of jump spotting for some information. One thing the T-side can do a really great job at in a round like this, Jay, is trying to bait out as much util as possible, because even looking at how much there's still left to use, there isn't a great amount for K23.
It's all going to be lost expensed as well, obviously, with the money lines being heavily invested into on these force buy and conversion rounds. SMG, yes, can farm up some cash, but the utility will not come back. Burst in. First frag found from Keels Nealons. Also take up a little bit hard here. Get another SMG to back up and wrap around towards the speedway area. A bit of a lurk coming through from, maybe that's Kalinka in the mid position. Will draw their attention back. So only these 2 players standing on the B side. Smokes down. Here to Coffins. Deagle sees 1 player back a new box, knows where Keels is. I think Keels may have spotted him as well. Checking out first, there's a kill coming in for Nealon. 5-on-3. Deagle spamming desperately to get the kills, but the SMGs are cleaning house and the money is flowing the way of the CT side. Damage done. Finally, Nealon falls, but back up a swarm the site. They are surrounded. 10 seconds left. Mo gets that 1 kill. Keels just trying to stay alive. His backup has arrived. And all frags the way of SMGs. The money is bolstered for K23.
And you know when people open their front doors and they're like, man, I'm so happy it's sunny today. Man, I open my doors and I'm like, man, it's so happy to not see force buyers being won. Because what we saw there from K23, just they peek on each other's contact. We see the MP9 towards the back of First Oranges, another one from Chaos back in New Box, and all they do is just peek on each other's contact, swinging together, making sure they're not offering those diggles any one-on-one faces. And that was a very, very well-drilled round coming out from K23 on that B defense.
Nice stack.
Oh!
Nealon! That is what you call wrecked. Absolutely wrecked there on the HELLRAISERS side. It is an eco stack in. It was a rush call. But it's been a long time since I've seen a 3K single nade.
Oh. That's a lot of damage. We even saw nades being placed out towards the bottom of mid too, so they had it set up whether the T's went mid or B. Wherever they were going to go, they were going to take a lot of damage from those HEs, and now the scoreline deficit is starting to close a little bit between these two sides. Only a 2-round deficit for K23.
Nades, Molotovs. Trying to do more damage to the T side. This time just one player at the wood stack. I think Keels knows this. Facing in, sees his man, gets a dink down for it. Blind sprays work better for Lion, but the nade from Mo will take him down in the end. He's on 3 HP though. It's just an SMG they've lost here, and K23 are happy to treat this as a bonus round. They've got money, so they can afford a rebuy. Still a 4-on-4 situation. They have bought themselves a pretty decent stance in the entries towards the A slot. They're now going to have to shift their focus. KDO and Norbert. KDO goes down. Norbert left with the M4 on site. Better back up and wait for backup. And actually, they're making their way towards Long, but he quickly gets overwhelmed. So this should be around for HELLRAISERS. Easy pickings for this T side.
Now, if I'm HELLRAISERS, you wouldn't have got a lot of information in that round there, but one thing we've certainly seen in recent times, Jay, is K23 on this map, is they can pull mass rotations over and just gamble up the A bomb side and leave B completely uncontested. We saw Flarage in that round trying to sell a bit of a fake towards the bottom of Banana, and there was no one there. So I wonder if HELLRAISERS are going to be able to get a bit of a read on that situation, because they were running into A on a complete stack, and it just came down to the entries. We saw some beautiful entries coming out from the majority of players from HELLRAISERS, and for Mo, he was taken down so low in the beginning of the round that he couldn't even aggress through Banana. He had to try and just stay passive, and the HELLRAISERS, they just brute forced their way into the A bomb site.
And again, they had the firepower advantage with the SMGs. And K23 have a rebuy back into this next round. The AK saved on Nealon. AWP out for Mo here, and the M4's there to back it all up. Obviously, the economy will be a little bit invested into here for K23, but they need to come up with a good round for it. Still a little bit of fallback, though. Maybe could see another force up coming through from these guys. They end up losing this next round, but that's all something to look forward to into the round 21. For round 20, it's once again utility contact, default plays. Keels and Nealon taking the early bits of damage here for the CT side.
HELLRAISERS just backing off out of this Banana control. Norbert very aggressive, a double man stack coming out in the apartment, and that bomb gets dropped too. So much information now coming out for the K23 side, and they were just looking for fights. They weren't playing passive at all in that A defensive.
Yeah, 2 picks and info gain. The bomb can rotate in the time it takes for the execution to come through for HELLRAISERS, so it's nothing to lean on here for K23, but advantages gained across the board here. Face in from Liam. Depends on the timing from Keels. Does he want to go for a contact face? Will he be able to get the kill? Will Nealon be faced unexpectedly? I mean, the AK is ready for it. 49 HP, though, has to be careful about these faces. The contact from the M4 has let this man slip past. It's all just been down to timing for the HELLRAISERS side. Establishing that Banana control. Smokes down towards brackets, though. And these two players look like they still want to commit towards A, but they think better of it and rotate back.
Yeah, look, they realize, at least for Lime, he's pushed up very aggressively, so they know that K23 haven't retaken this top Banana control. Good spot coming out for Lion! Oh, he opens up the site now in a 3-on-3, and K23, they're not moving off of A. These rotations are so damn slow on this CT side.
One man with a patient play and a push-up that managed to time so well. A 2K for him. Opening up the round for... Oh, opening up the bomb site, I should say, for the HELLRAISERS side. He's going in for more. He's got Mo. He's not got the fourth, though. KDO trades it 2-on-2. And a retake coming in for the K23 side. Both players have kits. Time is of the essence though. Flash is over, making their way in from construction. They've got Flourish to deal with. Flourish takes the kill. And Norbert left alone now. Faces problem, gets him, gets the dink back on Flourish, but is unable to get the kill.
Oh my goodness, that it all comes down to Lime. Lime wins back that round after some massive disadvantages being found. He opens up B, and all we saw there from Nealany is he was just trying to see if he could find a little bit of a pixel and then throw that smoke down and then get his teammate of Chaos to swing on each other's contact. Wow, that is unbelievable that they open up that B bomb site in a 3-on-3, and those rotations took so long from K23. No one was even close to just even use counter utility.
Utility out here, sprays back. The AK trying to get the opening kills. K23 have pistols in check, hoping to get those opening frags of their own right. Again, they're going semi-aggressive to the apartments area. Not quite facing out towards the long corridor, but here in Boiler Room, two players standing up, and Mo will cover off the mid control on the wood stack. Flash is over. Smokes down towards this cross position. We carefully play from HELLRAISERS as it is played carefully from K23. They're on a half buy for this round here, so any damage the CTs can get away with, it will be sufficient.
Just looking to try and at least keep that economy low. Considering the fact you look at how much money's in the reserve from HELLRAISERS, not a massive amount. Probably one of the slowest rounds from this HR side that we've seen yet. Kalinka just going to be able to find the angle onto Norbert. So finding an opening man advantage, and from here, this is really where HELLRAISERS can start to play the mind games. They've got two lurkers over towards that B bomb side, starting to clear out brackets. Probably give them the information that there's a bit of a stack coming out to A, and maybe they might want to try and hit B. Good response, though. What is going on here? They're trying to sell a B fake, Jay.
Oh, Kios catches one. Second player making their way into the... I'm going to rotate off the back of this. Kill comes in for JR as well. They've cleared out the B site, but 20 seconds they have to commit towards the A play now. The AK and Kios is 5-7 have left just basically to retake on B. They think it's completely a B play, but no. This AK stays in, it will be good enough for them to take control, and Mo's backing up into the T side. Oh, they have outplayed them ridiculously. I think he hears the ticks of the bomb, though. I think he realizes now what's going on. Held back to CT spawn. Holding on to his rifle here. If they can get away with this much, then K23 will be happy with the half buy they just got.
Yeah, look, that was a bit of an interesting strat coming out from HELLRAISERS. I probably would have liked to have seen it come out in a gun round rather than an eco, because it could have got a little bit unfortunate. We saw JR opening up B. Like, if he didn't find anything at that B bomb site, they would have known straight away that it was just a B site fake. But because he's able to do so much damage, he's able to pull the rotations over. It means that for Flourish and Problem, they can just walk out into A, don't have to worry about any defenders. And HELLRAISERS are really showing up on this map in this best of 3 for the playoffs. It's really great to see that there's been a lot of contention being pushed up. And for K23, this is probably their last chance at a strong buy, Jay.
Will the comeback off the back of the first few rounds of the CT side, but quickly HELLRAISERS are able to return fire and get control back in. Orps, AKs in, M4s across the most of the CT board. They've got an AK in for Norbert as well. Mo's got to land these shots early on. And nades up, back and forth. This time the CTs are going to evade the majority of the damage here towards the top of Banana control. Flash has come back, and Norbert does find the opener. So that's a start here for the CTs, but a lot of contention held towards Banana. The AK going to try and force forward here, and Problem is damaged up. Not quite taken down, but Lion there to back him up, takes out Kios and Neil, and overwhelms the B site once again.
It seems like K23 can't catch a break. That's a good shot coming out from Mo. And now they're going to start to retake B. But again, the rotations have been very, very slow. We see KDO still here at the A bomb side. So it's only two players from K23 that are up close and personal at B.
And now they've got a HP advantage with that nade landing perfectly on Flourish. Lime is on 100, so he's going to be the best player to play anchor for this site. Third man finally rotates out. KDO going to go ahead and join Norbert. AWP is pushed quite aggressive in towards the construction area, hoping to catch a player over at New Box. Now got to look towards Banana. Info being given up to the CT cap. Sprays through. There's Norbert with a frag. Two players standing. One back, one grill. And AK faces, gets that frag as KDO's blind. Now Lion falls to leave. Flourish, last player left, gets Norbert down at tree, but the P250 comes out from Mo, secures the frag and the round for K23.
I'll tell you what, HELLRAISERS can still be really happy with that, because you look at their economy line, they'll be able to get a full buy into this round 23, no problem whatsoever. Whereas for K23, yeah, they recover that AWP, but the money line's going to be weak, and we're probably going to see some FAMASas at least out for KDO, MP9 for Nealon, and an auto shotgun. That's how wrecked the economy is. And I tell you what, HELLRAISERS are just, they like to be everywhere on the map and very aggressive. We see just raw fights being able to open up that B bomb side. But in the end, even with the slow rotation from KDO, K23 are able just to take some duels and establish some crossfires to get that retake through.
Very harsh buyback from K23, though. They lost a lot of players in that moment. SMGs and auto shotty out already. One SMG will get taken out immediately. M4 for Keels. Here's his player making his way out. Mayra cut with that defuse kit. And we'll try and hold the map control as well, but he's solo contacting aggressive towards this banana control. So if he goes down, they'll be able to just quickly storm the B site once again. But 3 players set towards the A site defensive from passive and somewhat aggressive angles, but nothing major coming in for K23.
KDO. Now, we've seen K23 trying to push through Banana in times before. Lime, he's so low and still wins out his second fight of the round. I'll tell you what, he's been super impressive for the T side so far for HELLRAISERS.
Big risk. They lost control of that frag. If only he'd seen the shoulder, if only he could, identified that as a player, that could have been an easy kill, because Lion was on just 17 HP. 40 seconds to the hit, and now 2 are left standing towards the A site. The AWP of Mo rotated to passive contact on that cross. And they've got long control of the brackets position. Norbert going to back up towards Library. Lion here with the AWP there shuts him down, and they realize that nobody else is here. They're gonna have to face in. They see the player out here towards Library. It's all left to the auto shot of KDO. On balcony, facing Kalinka, takes him down, turns the AK back around towards the players coming in from shore. Sees Flowage and drops him, gets us to a 2-on-2, almost gets it a 1, but no, Problem shuts it down. The AWP and knows roughly where he is. Nade on towards the graveyard area, gets us back to evens, but it's an AWP clutch versus an AWP defense. JR versus Mo, and the pistol is creeping up first. Mo's going to grab the AWP now, look around, scope on sight, got to predict where JR's coming in from, but the AWP faces closer first and secures 14 for HELLRAISERS.
Oh, that's big. That is really, really big round from HELLRAISERS, and they slow it right down. They realize the fact, okay, we've got an advantage to work with. Let's just slow it down. We can see if Lime can sell a fake over to B. Unfortunately, Mo catches them off and doesn't force any of the rotators out because they realize the information. It's only a fake play, and it comes down to that 1-on-1 in the end. KDO did so much damage in through the apartments, and JR wins out a big fight. And even for Kalinka, he's now going auto shotgun. I like this.
Instant shutdown from the AK though, comes up against Norbert, takes him down. Opens up the round. It's Nealon at least with the Deagle to respond back on JR and the P250 close range, but Kalinka's got that shotgun in play. And of course it mops up the frag, gets a bit of cash for him as well. I mean, I guess HELLRAISERS kind of need the money. They are running a little bit low. I mean, in theory, if they're to lose this round, then we could see ourselves with a bit of an eco coming up from the HR side.
Kalinka wants to see if he can farm up a little bit more, and this is what I was talking about, some of these over-rotations. No one hears for the B bomb site for K23. And just trying to gamble stack the A bomb site, and you can kind of understand it. It's only a little eco, so they're not really losing too much with it. Unfortunately, though, for HELLRAISERS, they're starting to take this top banana control, so you've got to think that they are relatively soon be going to get into this site, and now the rotation's already coming, but it's a little bit too late.
Yeah, they're going to have access to this one. I mean, it is a half buy from K23, so ideally they're looking towards rifles in the next round. Any damage they can do from here will limit the buy for HELLRAISERS, so that's going to be the main concern. Straight up, bomb plant, conceded, and it's going to be kills coming in for the rifles. No kills for the shotty, and Problem deals with KDO as the smoke starts to fade. So 15 to the board. Map point for HELLRAISERS here on their map pick. It is an encouraging sign. K23 bring this back though again. They've still got 6 rounds to the lead. I still think an overtime is possible. They just have to get those players in order.
Well, one thing that is kind of screaming at me, Jay, is the fact of it really seems like it's the gun rounds where K23 have struggled with the most. We saw the early stages of this map. They were able to put 4 rounds up and then 3 rounds going into that second half. So it's only been sort of 2 rounds outside of the start where they've been able to get rounds. in towards this banana phase, trying to take a lot of utility, trying to take that control, and just forcing the T's back.
They're trying again, but the trades have been so good from HELLRAISERS that even if they got their first pick, I wouldn't be surprised if they try and right back in. 3 players stacked to banana as 4 players make their way in brackets, and look at how far extended they're going to go here. Mo will get the opener down towards this banana position. If he peeks even further, he'll catch bomb control, but now 2 players suppressed towards site. KDO has no idea he's getting shot in the back. Nealon responds with 2 picks though out of library, and now Kalinka and Flaric are the last 2 players standing for HELLRAISERS. Moving up, bomb being picked up here by Mo, and Flaric is all that remains. This is not a round he can win. K23 on the grind to OT, looking like they'll secure their 10th. Flaric still fighting though, they know where he is. He just got to isolate these 1v1s.
Not going to happen. I tell you what, HELLRAISERS found a really good opportunity there. We saw JR just walking out from long, and considering that there was so much utility and contention towards banana, they had an idea that there were 3 players there towards B. So they just start walking long and try and split into that A bomb side, but the rotations come back so damn quickly that as soon as contact is made on the site itself, it's the library player of Norbert is able to swing out and find some impact. Double digits now for K23 and HELLRAISERS. You spoke about the fact of losing a round and being on an eco. That's what's going to happen going into round 26.
Burst through, M4 gets that first, taps and bursts through Norbert. 2 nice and easy frags, and Mo tapping his way towards headshots. In the end, they're all just going to get suppressed behind the Mexico position, and they should all just end up falling down. They're not going to go overly aggressive here, K23. I mean, they could easily push these 2 players up towards banana and probably get the control very simply, getting the round over very quickly, but they're not going to risk losing those rifles. They are on low economy basis. Finally, they do get up the ghost, and they do force the issue. All 5 stay alive, though. 3 AK still in for K23. The grind is on. Another buyback from HELLRAISERS, though. A victory here for the CT side could be massive to bring this back.
And you've got to think in terms of full gun rounds, Jay. HELLRAISERS is going to have 2 chances. They're going to have round 27. If they lose it, round 28 will be an eco, round 29 will be a gun round, and then round 30 will sort of have to be a force. So they've got a couple of opportunities to be able to close out this game. Certainly, round 27 isn't the best of buys. They've got a Galil up for Problem. No AWP potential for JR. Look at the utility damage. Liam's going to get taken down by the incendiary.
Caught off guard by the nade and the Molotov. It's a big kill to find, obviously, for the CT side, because they've oftentimes done damage with the utility, but have had to force the issue with their AKs and their M4s. Norbert is going to take a lot of early damage here, so it's not the most ideal situation, and trades can come easy for HELLRAISERS. They've proven that just by pushing forward, they can force the issue, but as Mo gets problem, refaces towards JR. The trade does come back for HELLRAISERS. It's 2 for 1 favor to K23, though.
A bit of an overextension there from Mo after finding that opening kill. Gives an opportunity back to the HELLRAISERS side. Now, Kalinka's been able to push very aggressively in through the apartments play, and if potentially one of the CTs tries to get aggressive, then he could be able to turn it back into a 3-on-3. But even with this lurk, KDO just gets a perfect timing, gets up and towards the back of pit, and from here, this round's pretty much all over from HELLRAISERS. They're in a 2-on-4, Jay.
Confidence starting to brim from K23 as well. It is not really... It's not been there throughout the entire game. That much has been a certainty, but just in the last few rounds, especially, as soon as they have their backs against the wall, now that HELLRAISERS are on match point, this team has started to look very, very sharp. Flaric and JR aren't making their way in towards banana. At least they try to. What is the game plan here? Do they save their weapons? I mean, they've got no money, so it might make sense. They're slow walking back towards T-spawn. Yeah, they're going to go ahead and save it, so respectable call. That doesn't mean that the next round is going to be very awkward in the economy basis, especially if they can't save those weapons into the round following. Like, the economy is going to be so lopsided. It's a bit of a difficult one for HELLRAISERS. Like, again, I sympathize with the call, but there are a lot of downsides to this.
I actually don't like it because, yeah, you're right. It puts the economy in shatters. And considering there's not many rounds left, it means that they have to eco off the back of it. And if they aren't able to save the AK or AWP into the following round, it means that Kalinka, Liam, and Problem are going to have rifles. And then JR and Flaric are going to be on Galils or Mac 10s. So it is going to make it very, very difficult. They just need to be making sure that they're either finding impact or they're finding a way to bring either one of those 2 weapons or 2 at most into this next following round, Jay.
They are going to put some damage on the board early on against Norbert. The same can be returned to Flaric and JR, though. 9 HP for Flaric. And being one of the best players in server right now, you don't want him to be low on health. In face from Mo, though, gives up his life to JR, so that's a frag back. HELLRAISERS finding an opportunity now. JR continuing to face up towards the short position. AWP and Norbert. They'll do with two sides at once. His backup is way back up in towards this pit position. Flashes go over and he's going to get forced back to the site. HELLRAISERS coordinating. They're pushing towards the A site.
They've picked up an AK and they've also dropped an AK over to Lime, but because Flarich is so low, and he's the gamble stack of the A bomb site coming out for K23. You've got to think for Norbert, he needs to find impact with this AWP J because he is so incredibly low.
Backed up here into library. Hold a very tight angle as well. With his teammate being in graveyard, this is going to be a bait and switch play. Trying to get the CTs into their territory, and KDO pops up, gets the frag out on JR. That's the rifle being dropped. P215 apartments taking face, taking further shots back. He takes dinks down, needs back up desperately. Smoke to extinguish the Molotov. They're going to try to go for the wall bangs anyway. AWP waiting for his shot, connects it on problem, and they're still holding presence here. P250's moving close. Finally, KDO drops. They grab an AK for their trouble. The AWP can't land the shot on the player towards the truck position, and they get a bomb plant and a 3-on-2 post plant as well for HELLRAISERS. 2 AKs for free. They could win it off the back of this.
They really could. This is a really strong post plant coming out, and for Kalinka, he has not been seen to this graveyard position, picking up, and I can't believe this is going to be the round that wins HELLRAISERS their 16th in the map, unless Kios can turn this back, and no, he can't, Jay. To think as well, all they had was an AWP, an AK, and just pistols on the last 3 players. What a devastating tale for the end of that map for K23.
That is upsetting, so upsetting, because like as you mentioned, in the grand scale of things, that should not have been around that they won. That should have been like, you know, a potential situation for Ecos, especially if K23 were able to win it and like take those rifles out of their hands. Like that should have been something real big there for the K23 side, but in the end it's HELLRAISERS. I mean, credit to them, Flarich and JR got a lot of impact there with their 2 weapons, so they were able to be the ones that overall sort of won the round out for the HELLRAISERS side. But just with mostly pistols on that board, that's a buy you never expect to work, and in this case, it actually did work.
And I'll tell you what, I was super impressed from HELLRAISERS, you know, sort of putting that last round aside because, yeah, look, it is probably one that you shouldn't be winning, but look, they looked really impressive. Yeah, it was very scrappy. The first sort of 7 or 8 rounds did look awkward from both teams. You know, it was very aggressive. It was very in your face. We saw a lot of force buy victories going back from both sides. But once we saw HELLRAISERS take control, once we saw them getting those gun rounds through, they had a massive streak of rounds where they won like 7 or 8 in a row. It was a big streak. They looked very confident. They were playing very aggressive. They were in their face of their opponents. And I'll tell you what, it's showing me a lot of confidence going into this series, Jay.
Indeed it is, but for HELLRAISERS, obviously the easiest sort of challenge is behind them, and that still was a pretty close affair with a comeback towards the end of it. Mirage is up next, and the K23, that is a map they have beaten HELLRAISERS on in the past, and one that you can consider to be one of their better maps in the pool. So as we go to a break, it's time to get into the real meat of things, I think, for the HELLRAISERS side. They've got their victory on the board, could still take this matchup, but the real challenge begins now. Don't go anywhere, we're back after this short break. Welcome back to Malta Vibes. Welcome to our second map of the series between HELLRAISERS and K23. If you're just joining us, it was a pretty close affair over on Inferno, but HELLRAISERS are the ones that ultimately came out on top. 16 to 12 was the end result. I thought it was 13. I'm being a bit of an idiot, but no. Another good map going the way of HELLRAISERS. The only consistent element for them in the series, because it is the only map they've won from them against the K23 side in the past. Now we get to the real meat of the challenge. Mirage and Dust 2 are up next. They played it in the last best of 3, and K23 won them both, but they were pretty close, Dwayne. I have to ask you, considering the fact that the last Inferno map they played went confidently and the last Mirage went close, is this going to be a stomper, therefore, by K23, or will HELLRAISERS again bring it close?
No, I think it should be relatively close. I certainly don't think it will be a stomper at all from K23. After seeing the playstyle from HELLRAISERS, the confidence on a lot of their duels, I don't think they'll be able to let it be a stomping affair for their opposition. I think they'll certainly be able to put up a pretty decent fight. You have a look at the comparisons there. Flourish did so much work. He was, 17 at 3 at one point. Yeah, you may say he got a little bit quiet towards the end there, but he was having massive impact. He was making multiple kills, I should say, in rounds. And he was just finding a lot of impact. 20 kills and just 15 deaths. A very, very big performance from the Latvian.
Yeah, and I would say that this sort of like player-for-player comparison is a good sort of example of sort of the top performers and the top sort of performances from these two teams, because I have to say that for both sides there was a bit of a disparity between the top and bottom fraggers towards the end of the map there, but it was particularly defined there for K23, especially in the first half, where we had players that were, barely cracking even the double digits or like not even getting close towards it by the end of it. And I think that it is a reflection of some of the issues we've seen from K23 in the past. Again, the sort of inconsistent sort of problems and the low dips in form that we've seen from this team in the past. And it's a concern as a result, because it could well be spelling the demise of this team if they're not careful with how they play the rest of this series.
Yeah, look, that certainly is a bit of a fact. I mean, one thing to kind of take into consideration going into Mirage 2 is the fact that for HELLRAISERS, yeah, look, statistically, it's not a great map for them. We haven't seen them play or at least until week 3 of the Malta Vibe. So they've been able to play in more than just week 3, and we haven't seen Mirage coming through at all. So it may mean that behind the scenes they have been able to put a little bit of work into it. At the same time, it might mean they're just banning out on the veto and not wanting to play it at all. So look, I'm expecting HELLRAISERS to come into this next map being able to put up a pretty decent performances, and I'm hoping that the same standout players of at least JR, maybe he wasn't so much standout, but he was very consistent with that AWP, and Flourish can step up to be able to have another big performance going into Mirage.
Well, I'm expecting K23 should find some sort of response here. The question is, will that response be good enough to keep themselves alive in the playoffs? We'll see the ninth round go the way of the K23 side, so they get their choice of side. I'm imagining that CT will be the pick. But again, this is one of those maps where you look at it and think, hey, T sides can do very well, especially for a CIS team. It may be beneficial to pick the T side. And that's what they're going to do here. K23 decide to stay on the attacking half to start things off.
Okay, yeah, look, I mean, it works out quite nicely, because you look at their percentages on a map like Mirage. Last 3 months, 58.8% of the rounds work out, or at least victories on the T side. Having a look at the fantastic odds of our good partners of LootBet, it seems like K23 to start off the map again are your favorites at 1.43. If you do want to get involved in those odds, you can check out all the information in the Twitch chat and in the Twitch banners underneath the Twitch channel. 10 free CSGO spins and up to €100 bonus on your deposit. Jay, we like bonuses, we like rounds, we like to get this game starting. It start on the pistol round.
No kit again for the HELLRAISERS, opting against the retake setups. They're going to hold confident defensive, or at least they'll try to. They did pretty well with this over on their first CT pistol. Let's see whether they can do the same thing again here against K23. They got utility set for Nealon, double flash. He may have used a smoke early on. He's actually using that out towards the window room to try and sell a play towards the B site. It will draw some attention back towards mid control, and that may run into the main stack here of the T side, so it could work out for either side. It's KDO there with the opening kill. JR turns it around for Mo. Doubles up on Kios as well, looking for the triple. If he drops that bomb, that could be absolutely massive towards the mid position. Norbert fragging out towards the A site, or at least trying to. A backstab is incoming towards the B site play, so they will gain some level of site control. Nealon's got to get a pick back on problem though if he wants to maintain it, and he'll do some damage, force him away. Kalinka gets Norbert over on the A site play. The bomb's making its way up the apartments. It can get committed to a plant.
It's going to be difficult, though. Still need to try and get that bomb crossed out between those two windows. That is a good opening to come out from Nealon, but JR is close onto the side. There is going to be a bit of a response now, but Kalinka just chiming in to the action, meaning Nealon's last one left. Bombs drop down to the open. HELLRAISERS just swarming out to this B bomb side. Nealon is going to be able to find one, but not the follow-up. And I'll tell you what, from HELLRAISERS, again, it was very aggressive on that CT side. We saw JR finding a couple of kills out from mid, and from there, JR and Kalinka worked together to wide swing. That bomb's already been dropped off. It allows Nealon to get into that B bomb side, but it seemed like for HELLRAISERS, they pretty much had an idea of what was going on that entire round.
Now, first on the board, of course, for the HELLRAISERS side, the defensive holding up pretty well. K23 had some awkward timings on their faces and contacts, but in the end, not quite enough to get them past the first hurdle here on the pistol. The buys coming in are going to be a little bit weak as well. No bomb plant, no force up. Therefore, should be seeing rifles come out for round 3 here for K23. It makes a lot of sense given the circumstances, and it could well do some damage to HELLRAISERS if these upgrade Deagles can do some damage to the CT line.
Top mid control being established from the T's, but with no utility, it's going to be difficult to try and work with it. A swinging scout out through mid of JR is in a bit of an awkward position, but the flashbang coming out from mid, and look at that, they're just trying to fight Jay every single duel possible.
They're all going well for the CT camp. One player left standing in moat. They do get overwhelmed here for the HELLRAISERS side. All 5 stay alive. And the buy comes through for K23. AK's in for 3 individuals. I'm imagining it should be the same thing for Keels as well. Kado's brought up. May look for an SMG or a Galil with utility, but actually no, it's going to be very light on the utility basis for the T side.
Yeah, looking to probably go for a lot of wide swings, a lot of dry pigs going into round 3, especially knowing the fact that they don't have a lot of util to work with, the money line being quite low. And for HELLRAISERS, look at the aggression, double play onto the underpass.
Straight up and in. Nealon's going to double them up here on the HELLRAISERS side. 2 frags to sustain. KDO looks on towards sight, misses that one player that could have been seen in the gap of the smoke. I don't think Kalinka saw him back though, so no info gained by the CT side. He'll wait for Problem to push forward instead. SMG waiting for something to face him, but nothing is going to come through right now for them.
Problem. He's got so much work to do. Instant wide swing and this round's done. They have to try and save onto their weapons. JR and Kalinka, there's just no response to get back into this round. And we saw aggression out towards the underpass, Jay. It didn't work out at all. They didn't find any impact.
Yeah, that was a nice, simple set of faces coming in from K23. All the kills went their way pretty effectively. The buy up, of course, for HELLRAISERS was mostly saved weapons, so it's not exactly like it's a, you know, like a massive investment sort of round. They'll be able to buy in the next one. I mean, it still looks a little bit awkward on the economy basis. But as you mentioned, things did not go as per plan for the HELLRAISERS side. They'll still buy up, though. Here we go, M4s, AWPs. For Masters in for 2 players, though, so you can see where the weaknesses are in check.
Yeah, you certainly can. And for HELLRAISERS, I hope that that sort of stint of aggression that we saw in that last round isn't sort of a mental factor where they go, right, we're going to start playing passive on the city side. We don't want to continue the aggression, because that's honestly where they're looking their best. And even for Lion, we've seen the underpass play in the last round not working out. This time around, it's only a solo play.
Minute and 35, very early stuff here towards the contact positions. M4 takes face, flashbang is perfect to keep them blind. Kalinka does get the opening kill on Mo towards mid-control, and Keels with the Molotov support gets Lion down. Smoke on towards the sniper's nest. We'll keep the AWP suppressed, but he gives up the info back to the K23 side. An overall HP advantage for the Ts.
That was a great lineup coming out for JR. Problem just gets absolutely deleted, though, going for the jump spot at the B bomb side. And KDO's been able to open up B, but they need to be able to contest because the rotates have come in really quickly. And this now might be a fake. They're bringing that bomb back to A.
Trade game from HELLRAISERS, just as confident here in the second up as it was over on the first. Molotov's down, smokes up, Flowers press forward at the ticket booth. Keels gets one frag. JR still killing players though. Gets open. But the bomb will make its way over towards the B site. They've got one player there already. It's going to take a big wraparound to get it towards this site here. And JR fragging from the short position. They have to go through the apps control, and that's exactly where Nealon will move to. JR could shut him out of the window position. In fact, he's ready for this contact. So if he gets this kill, this will be enough to win the round for HELLRAISERS. This is all to timing, all to accuracy, all to reactions as well. Nealon faces, shot not connecting. Second face will try to get a bit more aggression, a bit more presence here, but he doesn't land his shots. The bomb plant will be received. 2-on-2, they're coming in thick and fast. The AK's seen one player close, Nealon tapping up, another player coming in from the apartments, not being covered off at this stage by K23.
JR doesn't know which way to check. Oh, that's a big duel going on the way to Nealon, and that's all down to Kios. JR knows exactly where he is, but forcing it into the one-on-one. Now, Flourish doesn't have a kit, so he needs to get a move on to try and deal with the market player.
Here's the footsteps. Flourish has got no kit. Kios facing in, flashes over, and he wins out the fight. 4 frags for him. Truly the savior of the round for K23 to push into the site, get control at the perfect moment, and force HELLRAISERS back down to an eco. A good start from the CTs, a better response from K23.
And that was just off the back of information. They realized the fact, okay, we're going to fake B, we're going to go A. Oh, hang on a minute, we've had a bit of a contest, we've traded out evenly. That B bomb site might be opened up. They go for a lurk out from Kios. He goes, right, B's open up, let's bring the bomb back. And it just works out really nicely. USPs running into ramp and running into nothing.
Stack set. Norbert probably going to hear those footsteps and realizes actually now's a good time to get the bomb out of the way, because
yeah.
If they take that, then suddenly these pistols might actually have a round. The Nealon there, taking face with Mo, the Mac 10, 2 kills going the way of the SMG, 2 more of the AKs, and in the end, Kios is about to clean house, nice and easy and efficient. And money gained as well for the main sort of, frag potential there for the K23 side. Nice effort from HELLRAISERS, could have been much better, but in the end, it was pistols versus rifles, and now the rifles could come back for HR.
Having a look back at that 1-on-2 from Kios, obviously a really important round to be able to bring forward. 3 in a row now for K23. And HELLRAISERS, even with completely USPing that last round, it means that there's still no kits, very light utility. K23 are going for a very, very fast, aggressive mid stance. This could be a straight split into the A bomb site through ramp and connector.
Flashes over into mid, scopes in. Hoping for contact and contention. Molotov's down towards Sandwich. Smokes up, flashes over. Norbert ready. So they make their way up and out into the A site commitment. Split in. Kado sees one ticket booth. Norbert is the man to get the kill, but supported by the damage coming through. Kios secondary pick back with the AK and a 5-on-3. Dark cleared, CT cleared, got players in connector jungle who could be a bit of an awkward time for them, but they're not taking too much of an aggressive face. They may be looking for exits. This should be a 4th for K23.
HELLRAISERS just getting picked apart there in this just simple execution. All K23 did was smoke off towards top mid. They smoked off window. They went pretty quickly up through that cold position, smoked off jungle, and just meant that JR could find no impact dealing with the player very aggressive towards top ticket. And from there, once the CT player goes down, that round's pretty much done. Flourish and Lime are dealt with. And K23, on what was just a very simple play into that A bomb site, don't lose a single player, don't even take any damage at all. Nealon's the only one that took damage in that round.
Got the right information at the right time, it seemed like, and capitalized with the overall kills. HELLRAISERS just getting forced out the site so early on in that hit as well. When the 2 players fell, the rotations were still coming in. Had no CT contention. They had jungle back up at the sniper's nest position in particular for the push-up, and no connector control at that. So in general, it was a passive stance from the retake of HELLRAISERS. They had no choice but to save. And a rebuy can come through thanks to those 3 weapons staying in. So a smart call there from the CT camp. Nades out, the mid control being gained by 2 players pushed up very aggressively. K23 have read this. They're expecting the CTs to push.
Just falling right back, giving up that mid control. But even for HELLRAISERS, after they looked like they wanted to extend in the early start of the round, they just back off. They give mid up for free. They now stack 3 players over to this A bomb side. And you're right, it seemed like K23 had a really good idea that they're going to start taking some aggressive duels out towards mid, and now start to take it a little bit later into the round.
Backed up into the mid control. HELLRAISERS backing up out to passive angles and contact play from Flourish. Could well find someone swinging in from Connector. Spray through from Neil and gets Kalinka, and Keels doubles up for a 5-on-3 situation. At least Lion will catch one in the back, but his back turned towards Mo. The AWP not ready for him, actually. He drops that bomb. AWP recovered for a third frag of Lion. Got to look back there towards the top of mid because another player is coming in thick and fast. 3-on-3. Sees Nealand shuts him down, regains control for K23, but he's so low, susceptible to trading, and JR takes out a high HP player instead in Norbert.
And they have to try and split in through short. That's really their only opportunity. And Nealand is thinking about trying to get into window, catching off JR. And they might actually try and go back to this A bomb site. No, KDO needs to try and make a play. Still got a B defender to deal with a problem, and these footsteps are going to be heard. They can force the rotations in from his partner of JR, playing back into the side, waiting for the bomb plan to go through, swing to come out, and HELLRAISERS to find their third. There was some serious miscommunication there out through mid. How is Mo just running out from mid, having no idea that Lime is aggressive? Like, that should not happen.
No idea over on the HELLRAISERS side, but definitely an idea of what you could get at our case partners at Hellcase. Malta V and Malta V15 are your codes to open up some sick cases, get some sick skins, of course, some extra money and refill bonuses as respectively. Only at hellcase.com. Hopefully a better idea of how to play this round here from the K23 side. A bit more passive there from the CT face-up. Nades up, but Mo catches one player aggressing towards Connector. Look towards short, fires off at snipers. There's damage being done by Kalinka, gets that kill on Nealand. Couldn't quite finish off Mo though, so it's a 1-for-1 trade.
That looked awkward for the T side. That should have been a trade. Mo should have been able to connect onto that second shot, held onto that man advantage in a 4-on-3. And now for K23, they've taken a fair bit of damage, but at the same time, so is the CTs. Kalinka's down to 8 points of health. And mid control's pretty much been taken from K23 every single round without too much of a contention. Flaric is all by himself. Flashbang does not really blind off anyone. And they've just opened up A. What an instant response to come out for the Ts.
Yeah, calm and collected. Oh, and accurate on the adjustments as well.
Oh my
Keels
goodness.
with a fantastic 3K to close it out. And that is K23 with a 5th on their board. And, you know, I was talking about how sharp they looked like over on the CT side in the second half of that last map. Here on T side, they started things off carrying that momentum in. They are looking real good here, K23.
And who are we talking about pretty much that entire first half? Flaric. He's 0-0-6, Jay. He's not finding any impact in the last 8 rounds. That's a really scary sign for HELLRAISERS.
James Bond's knocking at the door. That's not good. That's not good for Flaric. Really, really not. And a tactical pause for HELLRAISERS because they've got to get their heads in the game. I think they realize that as well. Sure, in that Saga is having some stern words with his team because, I mean, it has been pretty shoddy from them so far. And again, you know, they can punish K23 so easily. They're just not being able to do it here, and the confidence brimming from this CT side needs to get shut down, ideally here in round 9, or maybe even in round 10, actually, because the pistols may come through in a half by the rifles, maybe out again in the follow-up.
One thing that certainly is a bit different between Mirage and Inferno is just ways you can get aggressive. It's a lot more spread out on Mirage with aggression, where somewhere like Mid and Banana is very close between one another, so you can kind of siphon off aggression to work with 2 parts of the map, where it's a little bit more difficult to do that on a map like Mirage. And it certainly seems like for HELLRAISERS, they've tried getting aggressive, but they haven't been able to find that fortune and find that success like they found on that first map, especially on the city side. And K23 really starting to come into their own, and I mean, you even saw that last round from Chaos, just so many sharp kills coming out from that connected position. And in a round like this, you've got to expect for the T side, losing 1 player can be acceptable, 2 is probably not.
They found that first pick, so there's your 1-player buffer. Deagle's back in, can land his shot to Keels, and Mo will pick up Liam and Kalinka. And 2 left standing in Flaric, and a problem here. Nades up, bomb should get picked up by KDO, pushed into whatever site they want to go for here. 1-1 split once again from the CT side. I think K23 should have a good read on how they split things up in these 2 standing scenarios. We'll start the push here, so as soon as Norbert goes down, they'll know where the 1 player is standing for the A site control. Base in, AK, gets his headshot nice and easy there. Flaric's not even given a chance to react.
Yeah, that was just a lovely pre-aim coming out from the A-ramp entrance of Norbert. And Problem, unfortunately, he's at the completely wrong bomb site, holding out to that bench position at B. Gonna start to rotate in, maybe see if he can find a kill with that P250, but this round is pretty much all but over. A 6th on the board for K23. And I'm kind of glad, Jay, that the early stages of Mirage, we have not seen the back and forward force buys like we saw on that first map of Inferno.
Is it like first 6 rounds were all forced by something like that? So not
First
quite
7.
the same here.
First 7. It was even more, Jay. It was even more.
Well, not in this one. Round 9 was an eco for HELLRAISERS, so of course they get ripped apart.
Oh, James Bond is there. I've just realised.
Yeah. Flaric has channeled his inner Brit, and it's not going well for him. And again, you mentioned how he was such a standout player for the last map. Like, how can you have such like a great performance on map 1 and then just disappear in map 2?
I don't know, maybe you should ask Flaric.
Yeah, I just called him up in the middle of the map. Yeah, how you doing, mate? You want to let me know why you're being terrible? Yeah,
no, like it's certainly a good question, and you'd have to think he's got to come into his own at some stage, because there's no way that HELLRAISERS could continue with their star fragger in that first map being an underperformer. Out towards short, the damage from Kalinka, they line up perfectly. Unfortunately, just doesn't quite get that secondary kill.
Might equalize the standing here. They're lacking in Kevlar and they're lacking in utility, but the lineup does damage, gets a second kill as well, and the player facing a trigger the trades is on 8 points of health. Kios will fall to a 3k. Kalinka, a massive sequence towards mid. That probably seals the deal here for HELLRAISERS. Kadir is taking damage, Problem takes him down, and Norbert spot here towards Dark. Kalinka gets a 4k. That came out of nowhere for HELLRAISERS, but it's a welcome surprise nonetheless.
And I'll tell you what, that was a massive round coming out from Kalinka. That was a very different stance. We saw in the early round, all 3 players were trying to run in through that sort of murder hole position to try and get some mid control. And Kalinka boosts up towards short and just rips apart the offensive. Does so much work, ending up with 4 kills in the round. That is a great response coming out from HELLRAISERS. And one for K23 to sort of think, right, if we want to take mid, we need to put more contention towards it. Oh, they've missed the window smoke.
Do they know about this?
Probably not.
They're going to take contact just yet, so I guess they're going to fall back on that one. So a smart call there from Neil, and they may have called it out like when they're at the T-spawn, like, yeah, I've missed that smoke, don't pick mid. Put some utility down to try to sell them on the idea of an A play. There's 3 players drawn towards this side of the map, only 2 defending the B site. They've given up very little information for K23, so not enough for HELLRAISERS to justify a fully blown rotation. They made their way into the apartments. Looks like the hit will come out very early here from the T side. Smokes down, flashes to respond, flashes back to try to find the entries and keep the back line blinded here for Problem. Kalinka falls first, KDO doubles up on Problem. And it's a 5-on-3 post plant, making it 2 as Neil then gets JR.
Well, there's not really much the CTs could do now. What is KDO doing? Like, what? Just pushing through the OT smoke towards market window, seeing if he could catch off any of the CTs in the wrong direction. And gets punished for it, but Norbert, he's going to try and clean up the pieces, see if he can take down these last remaining CTs. This could be really impactful to try and help out the economy. And Flaric now, last one left, AWP. And he's getting hunted by a couple of players at this A bomb site. Not going to find anything. And I'll tell you what, Jay, that was just like very simple B site execution. They found some really great entries, great timings on the peaks. And for HELLRAISERS, there's not really much you could do against that. They they positioned themselves quite nicely on that B bomb site, but just got ripped apart. And those trades came out so quickly for the T's.
Yeah, simple execute coming in from K23. I mean, again, the flashbangs were perfect. The smokes kept them initially blind, and then everything else was covered off by simple white screens. And no CTs. Nealon, first frag. Can't double up on Lion, but Keels is there with the AWP to trade it back. Look on from Mo there, peeking from Mars, gets shut down. Quick reactions and quick kills coming in as the mid control just gets ripped apart. And HELLRAISERS is now looking just as unconfident here as K23 did in the first half of Inferno.
And I tell you what, Joe, I think you did ask me in the pre-game to this, you know, are we going to see a bit of a stomper? I said no. It's kind of looking like that's the case, isn't it? You really have just got individuals not stepping up. Lime and Flaric having a really rough time on their CT side. And even just the anchors on the site are having a rough time. It seems like out through mid is really the only contention of kills. Problem just trying to hold on to this AWP. They've got no money to buy into that next round, so they'll just upgrade some pistols to buy around it. K23, they are putting so much pressure on. They're even hunting. They want to take this AWP out.
So we can get out of the trying to get out of here towards the apartments. I don't know if they'll extend this far. They're being very silent about this, so it might all come down to timing if this AWP gets taken down or not. They may go for a knife. Is his back pushed up against the wall? Actually, I don't think they can do it. No, hold on there. They can't do it. His back's against the wall.
Man.
I mean, they could have tried for it. I imagine they would have failed.
I was really hoping for a knife there. We've actually seen quite a lot in the Malta vibes over the past few weeks. I'd say like close to 10. I don't know if we've actually got a stat number for it, but at least the games we've covered, we've seen a few. But yeah, you're right. You know, if he was a little bit more aggressive, then there was that opportunity, but falling back to the wall, it's not going to happen. And the red eyes of HELLRAISERS are getting even more angry because they want rounds on the board, Jay.
Yes, it's still looking a little bit dicey for this scoreline. Kalinka will open up on Neil at least with the upgrade pistol, a half-buy situation for them, so we're not expecting them to get this round on the board, but rounds after that, I think it's plausible. Oh, JR getting Mo actually, so maybe I might be wrong in that respect. 5-on-3 situation. K23 are walking into unexpected picks from the HELLRAISERS.
Oh, good response coming out from Kios, but now Liam's going to be peeking out from window. They've been able to pick up an AK and hold on to a couple of man advantage, and Kalinka's been boosted up into the ninja position on B.
Flag not found. Deagle trying to spam through, trying to get something down. KDO falls next. It's all left to Nor, but 1-on-4. They have found their way into this round. HELLRAISERS are going to steal one back from K23. The main issue for them is getting rid of that AK, I think, for Nor, but make sure he doesn't fall into the CT hands. That way they can't, you know, lose control of too many frags back in the next rifle buy, because they can afford one here for K23. 40 seconds, though. Norbert's going for a bit more here. He's looking to try and potentially steal the round back from the HELLRAISERS side, but time is ticking. Repositions are coming through. The AK of Flourish is now set towards the short control. He gets one kill on Kalinka for a 2K. 16 HP for him, though. He's running out of time. He can't afford many more faces here. 17 seconds. Dump face and look for info. Gives up the angle again once for the CT camp. Flashes down. He might try and save his rifle here. I mean, they're going to be able to peek out, shut him down whenever he goes to the plant. So there you go. That's the frag. That's the kill. That is the 5th on the board for HELLRAISERS.
And that was a pretty decent attempt coming out from Norbert, just trying to fake the that he's jumping down. So just sort of jumps up on the balcony to fake that he's dropped down towards that van position to try and force a swing. But I'm going to add that to the tally. It wasn't quite a force buy, it was just an eco. But I think we can add that. They really didn't have much to work with in that last round. It was only, what, Deagles and a single P250. And K23 just get trumped up. HELLRAISERS can be very, very happy with that. And even for JR, look at the aggression out from Shaw with this orb.
Set and ready to the short control, ready for first contact from K23. We'll fire off the first bullet as the flashbangs come over, timing pretty well. Kalinka will move forward and everything, so will HELLRAISERS catch them off guard? Well, Norbert will have the utility out as he faces in, goes down. Flashes continue to round the corner. Kalinka going to continue pushing up. Incendiaries to force them back, so HELLRAISERS gaining a map and man advantage here above the T side.
Even trying to force Chaos back from this underpass position. Now, they don't know about this angle, but JR at least is going to be able to find another frag in the round. This is all falling apart now for K23. This is complete mid-control established from the CT side.
Could well see an 8-7.5 if they're not careful here. Mo gets one frag, but Kios falls in trade. Now him and Nealon are so low on HP to recover the rest of this round for K23. They do not know where Nealon is. That is a slight plus. Oh, the timing on that AWP face. Could not get the shot off of the info that Lime's pushed up so far towards the mid position. Either way, they'll go towards the B side. Problem is going to be their problem. Back at bench, tight angle to hold. If they exit out of the window, then they could catch him off guard. But he'll have all the info he needs to work with now. He's called in for support because he's heard those footsteps here from Nealon. They've got JR on the short position. Flash over, sees one, sees two. They do isolate that one kill. Now going to find problem as the last man left. Mo's got the bomb on his back as well. Got to try and get this plant in. Priorities, and they don't prioritize that. It's all left to Neil, and there's 8 seconds to the clock to get this kill, to get a bomb plant. We'll try to force Problem out. Problem still gets his 2k, and there it is for a 6th for HELLRAISERS.
It certainly could be a 7 to 8 half to come out for the CT camp. Now, one thing to kind of take into consideration is that HELLRAISERS do have quite a poor T side of Mirage, so trying to claw as many rounds as possible in CT is going to help them going forward. I'm finding a little bit of momentum in the last couple of rounds, Jay. 2 in a row now for the HELLRAISERS side. And I tell you what, for K23, you know, those 2 rounds, considering how much of a bank they had built up, is going to limit them, at least in terms of the economy basis of utility. Oh!
JR almost lining up 2 picks there with the collateral. Only gets the 1 frag, and the trade can come through for Norby. K23 trying to get back on their aggressive and confident stances to try and get this half under their control. They ended off 9-6 in the last map they played here on Mirage. Nealon falls next to Lion. 4-on-3 situation. Favor, of course, to the HELLRAISER side. Norbert does frag back over towards Connector, so even standing. Lion knows that he's there, though. Going to tap face, try to do some more bank damage. Keels is allowed to punish it, though. And now it's all left to Flourish on the A side defense. Probably making his way up the apartments now. They know that the bombs are going to make his way in from the Connector here. All down to timing, and I think I find the face at the right time here for HELLRAISERS.
Yeah, it's going to be awkward for Problem, but you're right. It all just comes down to timing. Now, there are eyes down through Connector. K23 need to deal with 2 different angles. Flourish is pushed up very aggressively. Now, with top con smoked, there's no way the Problem can help out his teammate.
Mosine, there's an AWP shot, close range, shut down, Problem now known, and there's Norbert to close it out. So 9-6 to the favor of K23, again repeating their last map up against HELLRAISERS on their T side. If this keeps going like this, then we could be seeing the same old 16-13 scoreline from the end of that last matchup. It's looking good right now. It's looking real good for K23. Again, some players going a little bit quiet, others stepping up to the fold. Flourish in particular is the main sticking point there in terms of the numbers. 1 frag in 15 rounds. Need him to step up as well. Like, and I know we're talking a lot about JR with his AWP potential. He certainly had his own moments to shine. But right now, with Flourish not being in the best of positions, this could still start to look awkward.
Yeah, look, it certainly can. Flourish needs to just take a bit of a mental breather. Just sort of go into that second map. I can sort of even gather for sure that JR and maybe even their coach is kind of having a bit of a word saying, right, you know, it's okay. Look, yeah, you weren't a massive performer like you were in that first map, but we still put up 6 rounds. We still put up a bit of a contention in this first half. Let's bring it back on the T side. At least let's make this competitive. Let's not let K23 run away with it. We know we don't have the strongest of T sides in the world, so getting off to a good start from the pistol round might just be the edge we're looking for. And certainly for Chaos, he's one of those players where he's never like normally a massive performer for this K23 side. He's normally been like a bit of an average player, sort of one that's very consistent. But over the course of Malta Vibe so far, whether it's been in the group stage or in this quarterfinals, he's been able to put up some really big numbers for this team.
Big moments here if he can continue to find the formation. The odds do favour K23, however, from our partners at Loot Bet. The Rush B is coming through, as you mentioned, from HELLRAISERS. They do exit out successfully, but KDO and Keels chime in with kills. Nealon looking for his way back in. P250 out on the raid boss. Will start facing in, trying to get some frags back. JR gets Keels for 1, but Kalinka falls back. Lion on site, gets himself a trade before he gets traded back in his own right. And JR, 43 HP, desperately doing some damage, but not getting any kills out of the apartments. He's found one already for a 3k clutch for him. Imagine this is going to end up being a 10th for K23 unless he comes up absolutely massive. So he's a player over at bench, but he just can't quite seem to land these heads. 1 minute and 10 to play with. JR kind of left stuck out here in the corner.
It certainly seemed like those odds at Loot Bet favouring K23 makes a lot of sense because there is hardly any odds that JR is going to be able to win out this 1-on-2. They know exactly where he is. The bomb's dropped in the middle of the site. He's just trying to see if he can isolate some of these picks. Keeps trying to fake out through this window position, but keeps peeking the same angle. The bench player starting to rotate away into jail for Mo. And finally, the swing is going to come out to find the double digits up for K23. That was very, very fast into the B bomb site. And unfortunately for HELLRAISERS, they don't win out the round and they don't get a bomb plan either, Jay.
No, they don't. And that is a problem. A major, major problem. Do they force or do they save? I mean, obviously K23 went for the eco in their T side half when they lost the pistol round. And HELLRAISERS are going to try to replicate the success that they had over on their K23 side. One pistol bought by Problem at P250, that's it. Blocks in, no utility, no Kevlar. Stack up here, 4 players. Going for the 2-man, 2 boost. Flourish the back line just in case. So they're expecting aggression from the CT side. This relies a lot on aggression coming through, however. And K23, with the exception of Nealon up towards top mid, in general, they're just being very passive about this.
Yeah, if you don't aggress on the CT side, this boost is pretty much useless. Like, it doesn't do anything outside of hoping for aggression. K23 taking complete mid control. They've got a triple setup coming out from the 3 players out through mid. Nealon, Mo, and Kills. HELLRAISERS are still not moving. They're waiting. Oh, Nealon. He was thinking about it, and now he's not thinking about it. They're still here, Jay.
At this stage, though, like, they're going to get information out there, K23, realizing that, look, they're not pushed up towards top mid, so they're either in apartments or they're setting up for an A play on the ramp position. They're definitely not going towards mid control. They'll quickly realize that's absolutely the wrong case because they're just right around that corner, but Nealon watching on the pass, now to turn his house around because now he's got to get some kills in. Only gets 3 kills from Mo, nothing found by Nealon the SMG. Kills there to try and swing back as they see the stack coming through. 4 players decimated, 1 left standing in Flourish, and this round goes about as well as you would expect.
Yeah, I would say that. Seeing if he can find anything more with the Glock, the swing coming out from a couple of players, and K23 probably wasn't the quickest of rounds because HELLRAISERS took quite long to at least establish any kind of control, but it's only Glock, so they'll be able to get the rifles in and going into round 18. And you've just got to think this has got to be the turning point because you look at this round and you think, right, if HELLRAISERS lose this, they're probably going to be down, what, 12-6? You lose eco, 13-6. It's pretty much done and you're out of control of Mirage. This is really the turning point for me for HELLRAISERS to get back involved in the game.
Orb scope in. Good shot from JR. Predicted it well. Just saw him before the flash had blinded him, and that's going to be an easy kill for HELLRAISERS to find. Big clap back on big old Mo. And Nays to force them even further out of the mid control. They're going to back up passive here from HELLRAISERS. K23 have gained a stance.
I tell you what, an A-side execution would actually work out quite nicely for the T side because there's only a single defender. A smoke coming out towards, I believe, the top connector position for the T side. That is missed. Oh. That is not what you want to see from Kalinka. He must have just been off from his angle.
That's like a pixel difference right there. Because otherwise that would hit the wall and bounce back.
Yeah. Oh, Nealon. He's behind them.
Oh, he's going to get information. He's going to get so much out of this for K23.
If they slow it down.
They've got passiveness from one player over in the jungle position, but for all intents and purposes, this is a full-on stack towards the A side. Smoke's down to suppress, going to allow this backstab to connect together. Flourish is not checking it, but Nealon's not extending so far. He swings out now, Flourish turns around, he wants something, and he gets the kill for it. An evading disaster for their HELLRAISERS, a 5-on-3 still. They're going to slowly make their way back out. Position Kato needs his kill towards mid, and indeed he'll find it. But do HELLRAISERS continue with their rotation? No. They go back towards the A side. One player drops in Kalinka, dealt with by Norbert for 2 kills. But Lion turns it back. It's all left to Kato. The AWP picked up towards mid. Sees 1, but too close for comfort for Flourish. Lion's allowed the chance to take the kill, and HELLRAISERS take 7 for the T side board.
And that's just a gut feeling. There's no way there was a sound cue. There was absolutely no way that there was a sound cue on that backstab. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, whether it's a gut feeling or even just a comm. Hang on a minute, has anyone watching behind? And as soon as he turns around, you couldn't get any perfect timing from that. Taking down, well, at least not taking down that bomb from Flourish means that that round is actually turning out to be quite successful. Because you've got to think, Jay, like if that bomb goes down, that round's pretty much over. They stacked up that A bomb site. They had 3 players in the site itself and the backstab to come through.
That could have been so much more for K23. The timing was just off. Like, again, I'm kind of disappointed to a certain extent because.
Oh, knife.
Well,
hello.
I mean that's all right. At least they find that much there, sneaking in against Kalinka. A bit more of a confidence boost there for K23. Now they come forward into the A site. Bomb plant should be secured. Dealer and Orbit is close. Problem deals with him though. And they're getting site control. Man advantage gained here by HELLRAISERS. They've got pretty much everything that they could want here.
Yeah, I would say that. Get a little bit of money with that knife attempt. so they'll be able to drop an AWP over to Mo. I mean, he can buy himself one anyway, so it doesn't really make the biggest difference. They can even run double orbs, but K23 are one of these teams that don't really run double orbs all too often, unless maybe one gets dropped on the ground from the T side and they go, oh, like 3 orb, then we might as well just take it. And HELLRAISERS contesting these last couple of rounds. But now it's going to be the big buy round. Round 20 is very, very vital for them to continue their success. They have been able to build up a little bit of money in their reserve. Oh, Kalinka with the orb. It's not even JR. Kalinka had the better spawn.
And they're getting these great orb picks towards mid as well, taking out one of the big players for K23. Mo down so early on. It's not the first round they've done this either. Still stuff coming in from the big green guns, and Kalinka's going to pass that right back off to JR, of course, being the big top dog right now. There's AWP set and ready to get some more out on this execution. KDO set towards the apartment's entrance. A lot of utility coming through. Might siphon off the player towards shore. KDO still going to see 2 players popping out. Does not take face. Sees 2 instead. Got the AK close range from it. He gets Lion. Flaric trades it. Norbert comes up with a good pickback. Kills with the AWP. Super close towards it. Going to try and get back to Cold Sarah, but Norbert gets JR for a 3-on-2. Kalinka moving forward. Kios gets Flaric, and Kalinka is all that remains. Sees Norbert, takes that spray, takes that kill. Looks for Kios and does damage, but now they know where he is. They can play passive. They have the bomb in their control.
Kalinka trying to force that orb out from Kios out to the open, and he is able to successfully bait him in, but won't be able to bait in the kill. The AWP finding the response, and Kios goes, yep, don't want to hold on to this orb for any longer, Mo, you take it, mate. And K23, that's the answer back in. That's their 12th round on the board. Now, it hasn't completely reset the money line for HELLRAISERS. Building up a little bit of a bank means that they're going to be able to buy into this round, but you've got to think it's not going to help them out massively, and that's why we're seeing Kalinka on the Mac 10. Even Galil for problem, too.
Yeah, there's some issues when it comes to the buy up here for HELLRAISERS, and that could really limit the economy state. K23, especially if they can get a confident round out of this one. 2 players line up. Flaric and Problem dismantle both. AWP desperately needs a kill, but Mo couldn't land it. Back up the ticket booth. Flashbang's going to force him even further back. A 5-on-3. This is a bomb plot. This may well be a round already for HELLRAISERS.
This has to be a save. There's no money in the reserve. The cities can't go for this. And already the T's have established connector control, jungle. They've hit the footstep from KDO, so they'll know that they're not going to go for it. What a round from HELLRAISERS. The flashbangs onto the orbit too between ticket was just fantastic. The more players they take down on the city side, the better. But the thing is, the T's can't really go hunting too far, Jay, because they don't have the greatest of money line either.
Still going to go for this. Lime at Murder Hole. Can he catch Mo? Mo will take him down. So at least damage being done to the T-side line. But K23 overwhelmed on the site here. Very similar stuff to their race executions on the first half, where HELLRAISERS were pushed so quickly out of the bomb site. And a lack of loss bonus here from K23. It looks like it'll be a double ecos situation, so they've got to force the issue here.
This is the chance for HELLRAISERS to potentially take the lead. I mean, it's still a deficit of 3 rounds, but you look at the status of the money line, you think, right, you've got to grab at this opportunity. And we saw K23 in the last round getting very aggressive out from ramp and just instantly getting deleted. Mo, just awkward timing, trying to get onto that short boost, wasn't able to do anything. So he's going to have to now play back towards the underpass position. And it looks like just a simple execution for the T's.
Smoke out, Deagle set here towards Sandwich, back to turn. He couldn't land his headshot on Flaric. He does get 1 kill in the end, but Keels and Norbert fall in trade. And AWP does jump back actually from Mo. Chance available, looking on towards CT, gets Problem back to 2-on-2. Mid control is being set up by Kalinka. JR's the lone player at the bomb site. If they rush him now, they could potentially find what they need to win this round. He's backed up passive though, towards the firebox area. Flashbang gonna get evaded. And slowly but surely, Kalinka moves his way in. AWP firing back. Kalinka going to catch this man in the back line, and Mo gets dealt with. KDO, all that remains, has a rifle on the floor to work with. Molotov back towards Firebox, should force Shaya out to peek. The spray is going to go awkward, though. Does not land enough to get the kill. And HELLRAISERS back within 2 of the K23 lead.
Hellraisers didn't want that. They actually wanted to plant open for either connector because that's where Kalinka was. The fact that that bomb has to get planted towards default because they can't establish that control out through jungle and con means that the bomb's not planted for Kalinka at all. So I was getting really nervous in that post plant thinking if they take down GR, they can just stick that bomb. Like, it's as easy as that. Kalinka's got no way to defend, but he's able to get the timing, peeking up from con and dealing with that round incredibly nicely. Great tag to come out from the AWP and aggression out from mid on the city side.
A very fast play from the AWP, not easy to get that kill. Got the tag in the end, so that does damage towards two individuals now, with the face going 1-for-1 trades for the T side favor. Of course, AK's in the AWP means that it will be favor because there's not a lot to work with on the K23 side. We're looking for exit kills, damage being done. Flowich gets Mo. He takes a bit of damage back. KDO can find an angle to work with. No, he's been spotted by the AK instead. Problem gets Norbert, the only rifle being dropped. And Nealon out here. Faced in by Flowich, 2k for him. And Hellraisers have really brought this back from the brink. K23 had them on the ropes, and now we stand within one.
It is getting close. It is getting very down to the wire in this second map of Mirage. And again, you know, where are the tactical pauses? I don't remember seeing many on that first map. I don't remember seeing any in the second map for either team. This is probably the perfect chance for K23 to just take a bit of a breather. They had a really good lead going into this second half, but now it's starting to fall apart a little bit as Hellraisers are finding some control on this T side. Mo getting aggressive out from Palace. He's not going to be seeing anything, because it's fast out through mid for Hellraisers.
Set up initially, no contact being taken by K23. The connector presence from the likes of Kios making his way out towards the mid control. Two players towards underpass, Problem and Kalinka. Down and outward nades up to receive. A minute and 15, it's very carefully positioned from the HR camp. Molotovs will try and force out some of the common sort of hiding positions, but they're really being passive about this, the CT side.
And not really prodding for too much information outside of Norbert getting aggressive out through Palace. And maybe a boost in through the window position for Kalinka. Mid control being established. Still not really any response coming out from K23. And taking this connected control. The one thing I'm worried about, Jay, is they don't know about the aggression out through Palace on the CT side. Split into B, actually. No. What is going on here for the T's?
1-for-1 trades come out. They've got A site control, but here's Norbert in the back line. Going to spray through, goes awkward, doubles up. Well, he's trying to. No! Too high to the headshot. JL gets the kill. Kalinka gets Nealon. Keels drops the man. Bomber onto the site. 2-on-2. Short control being contested. Keels gets Kalinka a ticket. And now Problem is all that remains. Dealt with by KDO, shooting him in the back. And K23 not quite ready to give up this lead just yet. 13-11. A rebuy from Hellraisers will come through alongside a tactical pause.
I'm sorry, but what was I even watching there? Like, Hellraisers have just gone for simple stuff on the T side. It's been either the straight B side execution, it's been A plays, it's taking mid, smoking off short, splitting up through conductor. And then in a round like that, they're just making too many plays. You've got someone out towards ladder room, they're thinking about a window play, the players up towards short, but yet they're going up through com with the bomb. Then they have to deal with the Palace presence, and then we just see JR trying to aggress out through CT, or at least get behind triple. It was just too confusing. Hellraisers, they had no idea what was going on there. They were in way too many minds in just one. They need to keep it simple, Jay, because that's where they found the success in this second half. Don't overcomplicate things.
Hellraisers have been brought down on the money basis. The economy could be reset by K23 if they're not careful. When Hellraisers realize this, back to basics. Set piece towards A. Looking like it's going to come out pretty early here. Actually, only one smoke ready for the connected jungle presence. Mo gets the first orb kill on Lime. And smoke up, burst through Norbert. Keos cleaning house. Maybe not so basic as you would think. Hellraisers are trying to bring this back, a 3-on-2 scenario. As Kalinka works in mid, now into connector. Bomb going to rotate out. AWP sees his man. And Kalinka trying to fight in towards the mid control, out towards the snipers in particular. KDO knows is coming there. May hear the footsteps towards short. They may get baited into rotation. And yes, two players on the way back out.
He can open up B, try and sell a fake. If he could take down one player, potentially bring that bomb over. Kalinka's been seen. Kalinka dealt with from KDO. That was looking a little bit sloppy, but it's pulled the attention over. There's only one more defender at A.
It all comes down to JR. Does he check the right angle at the right time? Will he find the kill necessary to secure a bomb plant? If he does, he could be on for a 1v3 clutch. Checking out Ticket Booth, going down towards Dark. Got to check Firebox next, so you know that Orbit's there. He's got an inkling. Scots in, sees his man, gets his kill. Molotov towards the jungle area. He may have seen KDO on shore. The Orb is ready to take that face jump. Faces sees the utility coming in as well. Nades up top of Ticket Booth. Face in with a flash over. Evades that once again. He saw one. Pick not quite landing to KDO. Tried to adjust, but his accuracy was thrown off. Overcooking that by the tiniest of amounts. And it will be 14 to K23.
Oh, that shot was so close onto KDO. And yeah, as soon as he crossed to try and get that bomb plant, he definitely saw KDO jumping down. So he's got an idea that he's already maybe pushed up through con or still back passive. That's why we saw him holding that connector line and then adjusting with his movement to the strafing to the right. Starts to look over for the jungle face. HELLRAISERS, they're not even playing for OTJ. They had the opportunity of just half buying to give up 15 rounds for K23, but they're forcing the issue going into round 28.
And they kind of have no choice. Either that or play for overtime. Of course, they'll have an even worse force by going into the next round, assuming they lose this one, which is semi-likely given the rifle status of K23. Look at the FAMAS up here for two. Picks only finds one. Problem trying to find trades. Burst up from Ticket Booth. Norbert saw two. Kalinka coming out of the palace area with a MAC-10, ready to try and take some CTs down. Orp facing. Molotov in against him. Mo will get forced back a little bit, but still has angle towards the site. Seeing the utility coming in towards Firebox, though, he knows that there's presence on site. Bomb plant received. 4v4 retake coming into K23.
And there's still alert coming out to the short position of JR with the Tech 9. Oh, what a duel onto Nealon. And that could be the opportunity back into this round, Jay.
Problem close, being seen. Norbert trades it back. Kalinka gets the kill on KDO behind him. Orb facing M4, looking to make his way around. Sees the shadows. Kalinka's right there. Loses the fight, though. AWP responds, but a 1-on-3. He's got a kit and a smoke. Might have to be forced into the ninja. Facing up towards connector. Dead out of time. Dead out of chance. He's got to get to the bomb right now. Mo's got nothing. He's going to back up. He's going to save. Get an exit kill, but not secure the round for K23. JR will go up in smoke, but HELLRAISERS keep us away from map points.
Oh my goodness. And it all really comes down to JR and Kalinka. The fact that JR is able to catch off one of the rotators with the Tech 9, slow down that retake, the Molotov out to CT, gets a little bit of information that there's two players there, and how Kalinka wins at that fight, I will never know. Around that default boxes with the MAC-10, that was unbelievable from HELLRAISERS. And now we're getting back into the scrappy rounds, Jay. It is a force back from K23. The economy is looking so awkward for both sides. Oh, Rush B, here we go.
Oh, here it comes, straight up and out. HELLRAISERS not wasting any time towards this. Deagle set for KDO, gonna try to do some damage. These players popping out, doing some HP. KDO and Nealon come up with the first two kills. Problem gets one, Flowage can't get Nealon. Backup is on the way, but he's solo holding for now on just 8 points of health. Problem can take him down, but the defensive has done the damage. 3-on-2 advantage here for the post-point. The smoke's all clear, and the Orb will get one more. Double up for Mo, and 15 to the board of K23.
Oh, they rush into B, and it's a slaughter. It is an absolute slaughter. They just weren't able to get the timings right. We saw great utility usage coming out from that CT side. And you've got to feel for HELLRAISERS, because really that was probably a pretty nice attempt to try and hit B really quickly in a round like that. And it just doesn't work out at all, does it, Jay?
No, it doesn't. Oh, man. The CTs. A real good spot here to close this out and force us to a third map. I said this would be the hardest task, and HELLRAISERS are giving it their best effort, but right now they're falling to pieces in round 28. 2-for-1 trades. Deagle desperate to get something back over at the ramp position. Lion there with the bomb on his back. P250 popping out from Kalinka. Nealon will get him down. Save Kios at 8 points of health. And Mo knows they're coming out of here. Flashbang in. Orp will take face. See the smoke come out. Molotov to respond towards it. They're doing damage at least here for the HELLRAISERS side, but they need to find a whole lot more than just damage. They need to get some kills. They need a bomb site presence. Two players to find. If they get them both without being traded, it could be a chance for a 2-on-2, but even that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, it really is. Mo's just trying to get a little bit of an eye over that Tetris position. JR and Lyman has got so much work to do. 2 on 4. Now, they do have the bomb in the back, but already a third player rotating into this A-bomb site.
They're ready for this. M4 taking face, looking back towards the mid control. Boost up from JR, could find his way on towards finding Nealand's frag. Sees him, sprays through, takes him down. 1 pick found. Kios trades it. Liam gets us to a 1-on-2. Needs to get this bomb down right now. There's a player at CT.
Oh!
Is he going to clutch this? 3K up for him. Smoke down to buy some cover. Does he hear KDO coming in? He'll go for a plant of default. And he aggresses slowly but surely. KDO up close. Liam for a ridiculous clutch. Not looking the right way though. Sees his man and KDO gets the frag. We'll get the defuse and we'll take us to a third map here on our best of 3. 16-12 going the way of K23.
Oh, mate, this matchup has had it all. This quarterfinal game has literally had it all. We have had the same scoreline now reversed. We saw a 16-12 victory for HELLRAISERS on their map pick. Now a 16-12 victory for K23 on their map pick. Jay, I'll tell you what, that was exciting. That was very, very exciting. And look, for HELLRAISERS, maybe they can be a little bit disappointed they weren't able to bring that closer. But for a team that has got a relatively weak T side, they actually performed at a very high level on Mirage.
I mean, given the fact that the history is currently going the way that it should have done, with them taking their own map pick, of course, the previous map that, they weren't able to win out for K23, and now them taking the last map that they won in their last best of 3 series, things are currently lining up pretty well, I think, for history to repeat itself. The question is will HELLRAISERS be able to adjust for Dust 2? And it's obviously going to be a close map because, they're both sort of like T-side basis. There's a very good, opportunity for the CIS sort of squads. But is the adjustment going to be there for HELLRAISERS? Is the key thing going into that final map?
Yeah, look, it is certainly going to be a tough one. I think one thing they certainly need to try and get involved is Flarich. We had a bit of sort of a laugh about him about how he wasn't really performing. Got 1 kill at the end of that first half. That's unacceptable. That could not be happening. And on a map like Dust 2, where it's sort of an even playing field in terms of win percentages for both of these sides, it's going to come down to who is going to show up on the server. And I tell you what, after seeing what HELLRAISERS brought into that last map, I think that Dust 2 can be very, very close, Jay.
Well, last time they played it, it went 16-13 the way of K23. Will HELLRAISERS be able to change history this time around? We'll go to a short break and find out, see who's making their way to the semi-finals of Malta Vibes. Welcome back to Malta Vibes. Welcome back to our series between HELLRAISERS and K23. We're into our final map on Dust 2 between these two squads. It has been a battle and a half to get to this point. And certainly one that has gone to their respective sides, Dwayne. Some very close maps between these two teams, but it did look like at a certain point they were going to look a bit more one-sided, didn't they?
It did, didn't it? It certainly seemed like both teams towards the end of both matches were able to hold on a bit of contention, whether it came down to breaking the economy of their opposition, but both teams putting up a pretty good fight on both of their respected losses. So, look, going into Dust 2, I certainly think we can have a big map on our hands here. And look, it is difficult to call who's going to come out on top. Obviously, you've got to look at the form and what these teams have been able to achieve going into this map, that you've got to think that K23 are still your favorites. But HELLRAISERS, they've certainly not gone down without a fight in this matchup.
No, they have definitely given it their best shot, and it has looked to be pretty good for them as a result. But at the end of the day, you're also talking about some of the results that K23 have had, and yes, they've already been able to beat HELLRAISERS once on this map in the past. You know, they've also got victories against Forza, against SJ. They've had close results against Hard Legion as well. You know, they've got some teams on their board. They've got some decent sort of you know, results in their own right. And again, sort of just with the history, with the way that we sort of weigh these teams up, you would weigh them above HELLRAISERS in general. The only issue is that K23 have been a little bit sort of up and down. I mean, HELLRAISERS, the same can be said for them. You know, we saw some very awkward numbers coming in from some very different players across both sides. So in the end of the day, like, it is a bit of a difficult one to weigh up based on the individual form and the general form from today alone.
One thing that's kind of interesting about this graphic here about the top performance from both teams, at the end of map 1, it was Chaos and it was also Flaric on that HELLRAISERS side. But now it's changed because Flaric had such a poor performance on that second map. There's now Kalinka that's been able to be on an even playing field, an exact 1 KD. So a big difference in the top performers in comparison to what K23 have been able to bring out for Chaos. So you've got to think for HELLRAISERS, it's all about self-consistency. Maybe not so much about the team's consistent performances, but just getting the individuals performed, because the way that Flaric had no impact on that second map, you'd have to think if he was finding impact, if he was finding more kills, then there could have been a potential for a 2-0 for HELLRAISERS.
Yeah, I agree, and that potential, it was a bit too much of a reality at a certain point, you know, when they were within one of the lead there for the K23 side, when they were, you know, so close to sort of like taking it over in the end. You know, the 2-0 just wasn't quite going to be there for them, even though it felt like it really was. You know, for me, though, like, you know, the K23 side, they've already proven that they have what it takes to beat out HELLRAISERS, even in close scoreline situations. So seeing that one also go down to a close scoreline when we saw it on Mirage previously in the CIS New York qualifiers, it does feel like to me that this is probably going to be a very similar situation for Dust 2. So I'm not changing my prediction. I'm still aboard the K23 side. I don't think you're going to have any sort of disagreements with that here, Dwight.
No, see, that's a coward move right there. Never change the predictions mid-game. No, I'm sticking with K23. I'm pretty happy with sort of their lead into this. But yeah, look, I think it is going to come down to the wire. I mean, we've seen 2 16-12 results now in respective map picks. The Dust 2, I would certainly, is going to be down to the brawl. And I would hope that HELLRAISERS are going to be able to get to double digits again.
Yeah, I think they can at least do that. It will be a close map, but I'm all aboard the K23 side for this one. And it looks like they'll be on the CT start over for this side as well. So, all down to Dust 2, all down to the last map of our best of 3 to see who's going to those semi-finals, to see who is going to be taking on the winner of Forza versus Spirit, which will be coming up a little bit after this matchup, of course, so make sure you're sticking around for even that. And now the pistol buys. Diffuse kit for Kalinka, double flash for him, smoke flash for KDO. Keel's there with the smoke double flash of his own right. Now our odds from our betting partners at Loot Bet. 2.3 on the HELLRAISERS boards. They definitely favor K23 much like we do. And again, if you want to get involved, the best way to do for our betting partners at Loot Bet, click the banner underneath the Twitch channel to get yourselves 10 free CSGO spins and up to €100 bonus deposit. So play out towards long for K23. Early defaults coming in, looking for the opening kill.
JR's getting a bit of information, but it looks like a bit of a retake setup coming out for the CTs. Not really too much contention being held on towards the site itself. JR still trying to see if he can chip in with any USP kills. Lion might get flashed through this smoke, and they're all completely blind, but the shots just aren't hitting Jay.
Completely unable to land it. Mo falls, Norbert falls. 4-on-3 to CTs. Are still maintaining some level of control. KDO frags back to a 3-on-3 scenario and forces Flourish down to 8 points of health off of the short position. P250 spamming away for Nealon. Gets the kill on Kalinka next, and the bomb plant is secured. Flourish in problem. Both players coming up towards the short control. Damage has been done to KDO now. Susceptible to trade, but so is Flourish, and they're still in a very awkward stance. HELLRAISERS need to force forward as Flourish goes down. It's all left a problem. 1 versus 3. He finds himself 1 kill, but I don't think he's finding any more.
Certainly not with 25 points of health. This is going to be a very, very difficult clutch coming out from the HELLRAISERS camp. Now, there is a kit on the site, I believe, from one of the players of Kalinka, so potentially trying to pick up that kit and make this round interesting, but it's not going to be the potential there. Nealon to be able to find the last kill of the round, and HELLRAISERS not finding that retake successfully. That was some really nice duels coming out from K23, and you almost felt that they were set up really nicely. The flashbang out from the long smokes, and from there, the T side were completely blind, but they could not capitalize on the kills on the city side.
Yeah, missed shots galore from the flashbangs over them. That's really going to just sort of throw them off. Number of issues there for them. And of course, the end result is going to be the first round on the board for K23. The vice coming in for Deagles. PT50s force out from HELLRAISERS. A little bit left in the bank for JR, so he's going to try and see if he can buy something a little bit extra in the rifle rounds. But obviously, we're looking at a simple 3-0 for K23 before we see the M4s coming out for HELLRAISERS.
A scout from JR. Seeing if he can spot anything down the sight lines of short, but K23 setting themselves up for a little bit of mid-aggression from Chaos. There's still quite a few options, but trying to take the short control, they could potentially try and fake out and go in for the mid to B, considering they've got a lurk out from KDO towards that side of the map. Very slow and methodical T-side default, and I tell you what, they keep forcing these CTs back, and there it is, time and time again for K23, trying to fake that short position into the mid to B they go.
Deagle shot missing there for Lion. Norbert getting the frag back. KDO bursting through the UMP, getting to the nice $600 kill, and Norbert gets Kalinka next to a 5-on-2 situation. And HELLRAISERS here towards the A site, left to sort of save their weapons. Very confident cleanup coming in from K23 with the scout still set, but it's mostly the rifles and the SMG doing the damage. And there you go. 2 to the board of K23. Again, roughly how you would predict this whole thing to go. They're just mopping up the last couple of kills here. JR to fall, not a lick of damage done to the T side, and Flourish back in pit to save.
Now, if HELLRAISERS have done their homework against K23 on Dust 2, they'll certainly know that that's kind of a staple strat that they use pretty often, is the fake short and go into mid to B. I've seen it countless times out for K23 in the last couple of months on Dust 2. It's something that they run maybe 3 or 4 times on the T side. It's a very common thing to do. So maybe if HELLRAISERS can get a bit of a glimpse of the information, get a bit of a grasp on it, they might be able to start to read that position a little bit easier.
Going to add to the playbook here for the HELLRAISERS side. Setting ready for the E-cone. No major strategy is going to come through. No major tactics out. Oh, scout shots. Predicting the wallbangs really well for Mo. Cleans up 2 nice frags. Perfect headshots. Perfect tags. Got back up towards mid now as a native. Kios gets himself 1 and 2. And there you go, 3-0 start for the K23 side. Nice pop up towards that mid control. And again, Mo predicting those shots so well.
Now, I don't quite know if they've got just enough money to get the AWP out for Kalinka, but certainly keep an eye out for HELLRAISERS of running the double AWPs on Kalinka and JR. A lot of the time, Kalinka likes to be quite deep into that B bomb side around that back plat position. Doesn't look as if they are going to be able to bring it out going into round 4, so maybe something that they can bring out when the economy is a little bit stronger. Someone missed their smoke for the cross, which means they have to use an extra one, Jay. You don't really want to be seeing that on the city side.
No. Wasted utility and everything.
Oh my goodness.
Turning around on Kalinka. His back was turned looking towards that short control. JR and Problem do try and get that mid and long presence established. Dealing with K23's defaults again towards the long house. A 2-for-1 trade. And the AWP backing up as well to find a different angle to work with on the A site. Passive. K23 also going passive. Trying to rethink their position here.
And that was such a massive duel from Chaos, especially with the fact that he wasn't even looking towards mid. But it makes it really difficult. Now, they've gone for a lurk long corner smoke to get that AWP into the pit position to try and work off trying to force the ramp players out into the open and give an easy exchange to come out. Or I should say, sorry, the scout rather than the AWP. But you've got to think for the CT side, you could not be in a better position here. They've got a man advantage. They've got the AWP onto JR. They've got quite a heavy stack up towards this A bomb side. And they're even starting to aggress up through mid.
There's Nealon with a kill.
Oh,
Straight
you are
back, makes it
kidding.
happen on problem. Flaric trades it though, and meanwhile the main T side force starts acting towards this long presence. Molotov's out, might force them out of position. It's JR still with the AWP picked right there towards that cross. Big gap to work with in the smoke, and he doubles up to make sure the triple kill goes his way. They maintain control on the CT side.
Unfortunately for K23, they didn't have that follow-up smoke to get that second smoke down for the cross. And it was looking a little bit awkward there, giving a little bit too many advantages up to the top mid player for the T side. But for HELLRAISERS, they're able to get a grasp on the position. And JR's able to get a couple of nice picks out from the AWP from CT spawn. And K23, I tell you what, they win this round right here. They instantly reset HELLRAISERS.
You must look at this and think, hey, it'll be a great opportunity for K23. Yes, they lost the control of that one, but somehow the picks towards mid did the damage. So, as you mentioned, opportunities are bound to get a long-term gain here for the K23 side. SMG on Lime in particular is the main sort of sticking point here for this setup. HELLRAISERS don't have full rifles. They could end up falling down for it. It's short control established by K23, passive and careful. Mid control watched by the AWP. And boost up to try run, boost in, look for inflow, but no one's taking aggressive contact.
And one thing to think about is that we saw HELLRAISERS taking complete long control to start the round off, and it meant that they used so much utility, Jay, that they've got hardly any counter utility. 2 flashes of smoke and incendiary is all that the CTs have to use as a counter utility basis once an execution comes through for the Ts.
Mid control conceded by the bomb planter, looking towards a long setup, and Flaric is here to try and defend against it. Adjustments can come through from JR, the AWP currently watching the short and CT spawn. They flash over. Flaric's going to get forced back passive. AWP watching to try and protect his man. They're running very low on time here for the T side. Good flash in, good kill on one, but their backs are turned.
No!
Flaric could win this whole thing. Sees, sprays, takes 1 and 2. Not quite a third. Norbert trades 3 on 2 as Kios comes in from the short control, deals with the rest of the side defensive, and problem caught off by KDO next is all that remains. And just can't get anything done here. That could have been a beautiful flank there from the HELLRAISERS. One unchecked position, nearly threw the round away for K23.
That could have been huge. And you just needed to think, where was the support? You know, JR needed to be on the site. We saw Lime going down. And yeah, Flaric pops up. You know, maybe you could have been on for 3 kills, but that was almost asking for a little bit too much. If there was more defensive at that A bomb site, they could have been able to pull distractions and really allow that backstab to come through. That was a big play from Flaric. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. And that's the response we were looking for, Jay.
Mo tagged Kalinka.
Lovely.
Continuing to land the perfect wall bangs towards that mid control. Like, you just can't stop him, it seems. He was fragging away in that last map. He'll frag away in this one. HELLRAISERS not losing too much, though. They got pistols basics out here on the half by. They have JR to take the opening kill, though. Norbert to fall. Bomb out there in the open. KDO gets problem back, and Mojo's going to Molotov that position. See that next pistol facing up. Presence held towards the mid controllers near them, doubles up on Kalinka, and it's a 2-for-1, all in all favor to the T side. B side also under depth control, so the bomb can rotate out here as the smoke goes down. It's hunting for the rest of these picks to make sure they have secure sites held.
I tell you what, the Ts are really slow into going to this B bomb site. But they have been able to maintain control, using a little bit of utility here and there to stop any kind of aggression from the CT side. May get spotted out starting to aggress up through mid. Actually, all the CTs are doing that.
Well, Nealon deals with 2 of them successfully, though. Nice, simple triple for him. And what remains is JR with the AK picked up, recovered here by the CT forces. Facing in, seeing them out towards the mid doors, and could have done better to save that AK for the next round, but in the end takes face, does not get the damage on the board. 3 alive for K23, and the money can build up here for the economy basis. Then it's going to be still looking real good here for the rest of the economy. The T's, the AWPs out, no need to reinvest those. AK's in, and still about a $4,000, $3,000 float at worst case. Normal's a bit of an exception to that rule, but still a buy available for K23 in the next round. So HELLRAISERS got to work real hard if they want to bring this back and try contest the lead.
And we saw only 1 round so far from the city side where they've taken the long control. Outside of that 1 round where they didn't find anything with it, we haven't seen anything. What is going on here? Just get the players boosted up! Okay, they got it, Jay. I can calm down now.
There in the end. Kalinka towards the mid-door face. He actually gets the kill on Kios. A bit of an aggressive face there from the AK. He could not quite land the headshot. Kalinka taking very little damage, actually, all things considered. So I don't know what happened there, but either way, HELLRAISERS have 2 players set towards A third man that could rotate from short, and indeed he will do to try and support them here. K23 setting up towards the long control that they have worked well with so far, but unable to get a pick back in this round.
There's not really many options here for K23. They have to just commit to the long face, get the AWP of Mo in towards a pit position, get the cross smokes out towards CT, and just try and brute force your way into the A bomb side. They can't back off. They need to continue this execution.
We'll have to try and get JR into position. Ready and raring to go. Backs up behind the smokes, though, as Kalinka makes his way on from shore. They're going to have a 4-man stack set up here. They have to work hard to overwhelm this site. Spray through. KDO gets JR blind. Norbert burns the 4. Lion will clean him up. Get a second kill as well on Nealon. They have site presence. They don't have a bomb plant, though. Someone's got to get that bomb, pick it up, get it down on the site. But Flaric peeks in, deals with KDO. Mo, last man standing. And it looks like HELLRAISERS are going to find that confidence they need.
Oh, that's such a big round. That was actually just excellently played. Now, what they did there is they didn't overextend. We saw the sort of like long corner smoke coming down on that CT side. They put some utility out, and it is big wins for the CT side. Could be big wins for you as well. We've got a couple of codes for you guys to use at home at Malta-V and Malta-V15 to get a little bit of cash in your account and a 15% refill bonus. Only at hellcase.com. Open up some sick cases and potentially get some sick skins. And for HELLRAISERS, Jay, I'm really happy that they were able to find a response there, because it could have looked really awkward with K23 just ripping apart that T side.
So that was a much better segue in that one, Greg. Much better than the first one.
I learned from the master.
Well, time for HELLRAISERS to segue into a follow-up. They absolutely need to get this one. Of course, both economies are in tatters, and they could get reset off the back of this. K23 would be allowed to build their lead. Again, short-term loss for a long-term game, and this time it's Kalinka to open up the frags. Kios down. Mo with the AWP fired first. JR with the AWP. Can't catch Nealon, though. He'll sneak back towards the short controls. JR's not watching that angle. And flashes over towards short. Will try Lion back out position. The sprays will be seen. The man will fall back. But again, K23 a man down here, and they make it 2 as the bomb gets dropped towards the mid door.
This makes it awkward now for K23, because how do they fight this? Maybe they smoke off the bottom mid or they smoke off Xbox, but there's not really too many opportunities of trying to recover this bomb. And JR and Kalinka, they've now even brought Lime out, but they've brought so many players to try and defend out from mid that they've opened up B.
KDO's going to do damage towards JR next. Knows that he's there somewhere. Smoke out towards the doors. Faces in, but the kill comes in as well. And Liam gets Nealon over on the A-bomb site, so they do maintain their control. Just by the skin of their teeth there, HELLRAISERS keeping the 2 AKs in play, the AWP as well. And an Eco's got to come back from K23 this time.
Okay. Getting a little bit closer from the deficit now for HELLRAISERS. Still haven't seen that double AWP just out quite yet. I will be interested to see if it comes down to the following gun round, if anyone goes down. But for K23, it seems like it is a lot of nothing. Some upgraded pistols, maybe see if they can just try and go for some individual picks, do as much damage as possible. But they can't really expect a bomb plant in a round like this, especially now that that bomb's been seen.
Out towards top mid. KDO, 16 points of health to start things off. HELLRAISERS are taking significant damage onto the K23 side. Short control, Liam set with the AK. Shoulder baiting. Something or someone sees that headshot, drops that bomb immediately. Still going to make their way up. If they get a bomb plant out of this, that'll be just fantastic here for the T side. They're going to try to deny it with Molotovs. And Liam will get Norbert next for the second kill. And bomb plant. Not coming through just yet. KDO does get Kalinka, and finally they do get it down. So money bonus for K23. They can be happy with this round as it stands, but they're going for more. Kios digging out the 3-on-3. Now he drops next. Nealon with his own deagle, trying to let them headshot, but not on towards the long control. And then it's Lean at the full neck. So 1-on-3 situation for the lone T-side player, and Problem will be able to take him down. So 4th of the board of HELLRAISERS within 1 of the lead. K23 though, they're up for a bye.
You know, when you're nervous and people say, oh, you get butterflies in your stomachs, that was like that whole round right there for me. You know, the fact that K23 were able to get a bomb plan, they bring it into a 3-on-3, it looked to get a little bit dicey. But look, for HELLRAISERS, they're able to come into their own. They make sure that they're overwhelming the Pistols, not allowing any more one-on-one duels to come through, and clean up the round. The deficit's now only one, a full buy coming out for the T side of K23. And for HELLRAISERS, one more, and they'll be able to tie up this scoreline. Fast boost up for JR towards short too.
Touched that mid-control very early on, but it's a very quick pour out of the long house from K23. To pit, 4 players standing outside. Molotovs towards car, flashes go over. And they aggress, go passive once again. Very common default set by this T side so far. And they back up, rotate out position, so... Ducking underneath to make sure the AWP JR does not catch those frags, and they're going to lean towards the B site control, but they've got so much tunnels control here that it's going to be a fight just to get in towards the B site setup, let alone to the B site itself. All up to timing for Kalinka. He's got this angle on lock. They might not check this. They might not be ready for this. Indeed, he finds that first kill. Nealon there repositioning against him. Shoulder bait. Finds problems. Spray back. Nealon doubles up, actually. Lime's the last player left on his defensive. 3-on-3 as JR finds Mo. Spray goes manically wrong. Does catch a little bit before he goes down, but 2-on-2. K23 have done the impossible. They've gained B site.
2-on-2. I'm trying to see if they can bait out any of this counter utility. Fake on the plant twice now for Kios for an overextending JR, and now it's all down to Flarich. A man that we've seen be able to clutch out before and have some big performances needs to absolutely come alive in this 1-on-2.
Flarich left for the M4, backed up outside of the doors. Time ticking. CT facing forward. Shoulder bait on Nealon, forces out the shots, damage coming through. Keels did a double dink, gets the kill. 3 kills for Nealon, 2 for Keels. And that is 6 for K23 on the T side board. HELLRAISERS. Money is a little bit lopsided. JL's already forced to buy up, or at least down to like half by territory, so we might be seeing problem investing heavy. Lime and Flarich maybe to invest in light. This will be a very broken setup here from HELLRAISERS, regardless of what they choose.
And unfortunately, they were set up actually really nicely. We saw Kalinka very aggressive up through the upper tunnels. They had a teammate to try and back him up. But K23 just brute forced their fights through. Were able to get some really nice trades. Kalinka's getting a lot of damage down to that molly, so they'll know exactly where he is. JR is like really heavily invested going into this round. There is not a lot of money for HELLRAISERS to work with. They might be on single round loss bonus, Jay. So this actually might sort of be like a bit of a double eco. I'll have to wait and see how much damage they're able to do with these rifles.
Well, I was under the impression they were going to buy down to 2K. You may be right about that loss bonus here. JR will at least pick things up, or kick things off by picking up the first player, Mo. Down towards the suicide area. And immediately the York repositions back to the A bomb site. Will he be ready for Norbert? Yes, he will. That's an adjustment for a second kill. Okay. Maybe this buyout wasn't the worst idea in the world, but KDO overwhelming a problem towards the B site. They've got to deal with Kalinka next. If they can do that, then the bomb has an easy line into the B site. Rotation's going to get cut off by Kios, seeing where Flarich is at AWP. Could well try and find the frag back towards him. The backstab coming through from Kalinka. They have no idea this player. The bomb's going to make his way up. The SMG will get the pick back burst through. KDO goes down 4-on-2.
And Nealon and Kios have to try and bring this back, which was just a half buy to come up for the HELLRAISERS side. They've been able to do so much damage and just limit the options now for K23. Hardly any utility for the T's to work with. Now, JR's going to hear the footsteps. They're now going to know that it's an A bomb site take.
We get the bomb plant in the end line, so close towards this AK. Seen here, spray tap forward, trying to desperately get that headshot, but he just can't quite see the landing. Kalinka does go down though, 2-on-2. Keels in the backstab will keep JR at bay, and Nealon drops in to get the frag. I think he was out of time for the plant. Either way, it's a strategy that works for K23, securing 7.
Okay, so they end up having a little bit more money than I thought they would. But I tell you what, Jade, like that's sloppy from HELLRAISERS. The protocol there and that 4-on-2 advantage, it just looks very awkward. Rather than just completely rotating together or even just falling back and retaking as a unit, they're all kind of stuck in CT, and Kios is able to swing out through mid, tries to get a little bit of backup from his teammate in A, and from there it just all crumbles apart. There is no way K23 should have been able to win out that 2-on-4.
JR Opening up onto Norbert here, doubling up on Kios as well. Kadio finds one trade, and now HELLRAISERS meeting the Longhouse control with a stacking of their own. Two standing here, but a 4-on-2 scenario. And Kalinka with the scout, headshot through the door. And Mo suddenly alone. He'll smoke out CT. They'll know exactly where he is as a result to adjust towards the B-side defense is all Problem's got to do from here. A plant may be secured, but everything else for Mo is going to be too difficult.
No, Problem's got to make a decision, because the thing is, he doesn't really want to be fighting on B, but at the same time, you don't really want to be giving a bomb plant out for K23 to get that extra little bit of a cash injection. And Mo clearing out the site hasn't seen anything. 1-on-3, this is an easy bomb plant at B.
Looking to try find a frag here towards the tunnels. Molotovs. Swing out already. Take that headshot. One headshot is all he needs. Time's ticking really low. HELLRAISERS taking their sweet time getting in position. Two players could line up, but no problem. Gets that frag in before he goes down. And the defuse will be secured by HELLRAISERS. Good effort there for the clutch, but not to be in the end. Defuse should get coming in right now. They're going to grab all these AKs. Potentially find an AWP dropped. Indeed they will. Lots of firepower for HELLRAISERS. They've managed to maintain AKs for the majority of their buyout rounds.
I've managed to pretty much reset the T side too. You've got Nealon and Kadio that can buy, but for Chaos, Norbert, and Mo, there's not really an answer. So this should just be a half buy, get some Deagles up there, maybe a little bit of Kevlar and some utility, but it shouldn't be a lot. Nealon's actually going to invest in an AK to try and even out the money line, give a little bit of extra firepower going into round 13. HELLRAISERS, it's been back and forth between these two sides. What an angle as well for JR. Mo just peeked straight into it.
I mean, what a read to know that Mo was going to go for that swing as well. Easy kill for the AWP. Kalinka finds another towards tunnels. They recover that SMG. The AK back on Nealon next. A 4-on-3 situation. The scouts out mid-control, trying to be established here. They will force JR down and out. But still, K23 working off the back of Amanda's advantage. They are struggling here in the late half. Yeah,
they really are. HELLRAISERS, potential for some over-aggression out from short from Lion, but instead decides to fall back into CT. Nealon was going to hear that little sound cue. But again, they're in a very awkward standpoint. Yeah, this is just a half buy, but what do you really do with the map control? Because there really isn't any. They haven't been able to open up the long house. They've only got short control. And there's 3 players here towards the A-bomb site for HELLRAISERS.
Nealon and Orbit taking that first face. Kadio with the bomb on his back will make his way up. Here, set and ready. Lion, the M4 on ramp. Look at the back lines hoping to catch some players up, but they smoke out, so therefore he's going to get forced into a passive position. He has got an AK, they're backing up towards long. Good flashes in, going to keep them blind. He gets one frag, is traded back by the Deagle. The scout of Norbert desperately looking for a pick back, and JR with the AWP at close. Jump face, is he going to go for the Kelly? He will, but he won't catch the man towards it. The no scope, the quick scope lands towards the leg shot. Kadio finds the frag back to return, but Problem will secure the round for HELLRAISERS. They're within one once again here. That's always been the issue. They get close to the line, they can't go past it, they can't equalize against K23. What will the T side pull out of the hat in this one to try and keep that the reality?
You know what? I think this is the perfect opportunity to try and pull out the fake towards short and go in through the mid to B. We've only seen it come out once so far for K23 on this T side. But I think in a round like this, where they'll realize that HELLRAISERS are getting a pretty good grasp on the situation, they're taking long control, they've got a bit of a stack out towards the A bomb side, it might actually be able to pull some rotators out for B. In for Kalinka, he's no stranger to this XM auto shotty. He's had it like 3 times now over the course of this series. See what he can find with it. It's got to be somewhere aggressive, and yeah, he's going towards lower tunnels. Ah,
XM straight up and straight down. And they're dealing with that frag pretty easy here. No frags. Turn by the CT side. They'll try and they'll get damaged, but so far it's been pretty confident stances from K23. And for the first time in a very long time as well, they've actually found the opening kill here on this T side.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's pretty much been HELLRAISERS for the last sort of 3 or 4 rounds or so, finding the opening pick. You'd have to think there's going to be a response in, and there it is instantly. JR getting flashed in from the angle, re-peeking off, peeking back in. And even for Flarich, are they going to check this position? Because he's been in this position before. He needs assistance, but no one can back him up on the city side. He's really alone towards his long position.
That's really good with that headshot. Gets a dink off for Norbert as well, but the kill comes through for the T side. Problem finds one more. Where was that kill coming in from? Mid door, I believe it was?
Yeah, it was.
Flash in, perfect peak for Lion, but it's Mo to return to even standing again. K23, 40 seconds, and both CTs know exactly where they're at. They're both leaning in towards the A-site control. AWB flick, jumps up at the wrong moment. That's a kill for Norbert, and Mo returns on problem the same. A bit of lucky timing there from K23 as they take 8 and take the half.
Oh, JR, the timing was so awkward. As soon as he jumps up on that box, obviously your accuracy goes sort of all out of whack for that sort of like reset bone or the reset timer. And from there, that shot looked on, but obviously not getting that accuracy through does not mean the shot's going to come out. And they go for the double orbs for the first time in round 15, or the first time in the half, in now round 15, in a bye where they don't really have a lot to back it up, and already JR's been legged.
Might still get away with the pick if he's not careful, though. The flashbang keeping the T-side player blind, but JR not getting away with the kill. Falls back towards A site, 19 points of health. And Kios moves in towards CT spawn, try and keep his eyes on that one. Problem. Warp ready and backing up towards B site. And K23 working at the advantage of this stage now with the Orpa taken out of the A site. That's all the A defensive got. And now they can go for a plant and secure a 5-on-3.
And you got to think information's going to come through from the mid player of KDO. He's heard 2 players, right? I know where 2 of the 3 players are. They're coming out through mid. I'm going to be able to clean them up. He's going to say that, but that's not going to happen. So bomb plan coming out, information being pulled through.
Yeah, retake up for HELLRAISERS will be tough. At least they get the AK out for Kalinka. And they do see 2 rifles here on the short position. Norbert goes down. They're not ready for Nealon, though. He finds only 1 pick for it. Low HP on 7. Kios gets problem. And now it's all left alive. 1-on-3. Mo will double up. 2 saber knights here for K23. Another good, solid T-side half from this team, but will it be enough to turn over to the CT side? Now, the last time that these 2 teams played on it, it was actually a CT start from K23, and that was where they got 11 rounds. So, if this is anything like that last map, it could be decimation from this second half onwards, but HELLRAISERS have held some good fights so far. We've seen some very different scorelines by comparison to the first maps around. Could still be a chance for HELLRAISERS to do some damage.
And look, I don't think it's the biggest concern at the moment for HELLRAISERS, but something that we mentioned towards the end of Mirage, you know, Flarich just was not able to find that performance that he did on that first map. Again, bottom fragging for the HELLRAISERS side. And you've got to think that that's really an unacceptable outcome in a high-pressured match, a big match scenario in the quarterfinals of Malta Vibes Week 8. You really can't have a player dropping off after he was just such a star in that first map, especially when that was the map that got you the victory. K23 getting the same amount of rounds at the end of the first half like they did on Mirage. 9-6, HELLRAISERS looking for an answer back in, Jay.
Indeed they are. Ideally, a pistol would be the way in for them. I mean, we saw how down to the wire that one got off the back of K23, winning their pistol off the back of their 96 half over on Mirage. Here towards Dust 2, they are odds-on favourite. They are advantage favourite. They are our favourites. The odds on screen from our partners are Loot Bet. Make sure you're getting involved if you so wish to do so. Got odds on this match and the match later here in the quarterfinals, plus the semis and finals as well, obviously. Right now, set with the utility basis. Kevlar for most individuals across both teams. JR with a single flash using it down here. Smoke for KDO. No kit for K23. They're going to hold Symbol defensives out here. And HELLRAISERS establishing short control early, going towards the A site very quickly indeed. Taps up from the P2K and the USP. It's going to be Norbert the first back to fall towards Flarich. Mo fragging away, but can't quite seem to land his heads. In the end, it's Lime there with the kill back. It doubles up on Nealon. JR in the backline gets himself 1 frag, and Kios will trade it, but he's left alone with an impossible retake to make happen. Flarich will shut it down, and HELLRAISERS, that's the confident play they needed.
I just feel bad for the observer there. God, there were so many gunfights. Like, that's all it was. It was just so chaotic, wasn't it? The T side just run up through short. They just frag out so incredibly well for the Hellraisers side. And we see JR out towards mid, fragging like a madman. It's ridiculous. There was so much contact being made. It was not slow. It was not methodical. It was fast. It was in your face. It was aggressive. And we've seen that from Hellraisers quite a lot on the T side, is very fast things. Some very quick site executions. Maybe not so much on a map like Dust 2, but certainly we saw on that last map of Mirage. And K23 looking for an instant response in with their own force fire.
AKs, of course, standard for the rifles. Hellraisers got basic pistols and force fire upgrades to deal with. And scout set for Mo. Ready for the first shot. Problem takes damage. Trying to do some damage towards Liam as well. At least K23 are getting the early HP advantages, but they're not turning them into kills at this stage.
A bit of early damage, which is always nice for the CT side. Now, Hellraisers have been able to establish a fair bit of map control. Got to lurk out towards the upper tunnels of B. They've got a couple of players out from mid to try and split up through that short position. And you've got to think, if Hellraisers can try and split into A through short, it's probably their best option because it's really quite a heavy mid and B setup coming out for the CT side. Only a single defender to A, and that's Norbert out through long, so he's nowhere even near the site.
I mean, that can just walk straight into the site, get a bomb plant from here. Oh, no! Not anymore now. Kios peeks in towards the mid-control. Drops them very low HP, gets one frag for it. Flowage will trade, and Nealon knows where Kalinka is, and they're going to try and counter-rotate. This Deagle could do so much. Problem dealt with. Face in. Lions on 1 point of health. That's an easy kill, but still, he gets away with a trade. Rotation's coming back. Norbert towards the top mid area. Gets his man down. Kalinka's got to find Kadio next up. Scout there towards the doors. Kadio got a frag. Looking for his second. Flowage will trade it. Look towards the next man. But K23 just about hold on there to grab 2 AKs and win out a force by round.
And you know the pi number, Jay, you know the 3.14159 blah blah blah. You know how it's infinite? So are force buys. They're just infinite. They don't stop. And for K23, you've just got to think the timing on that was perfect. You know, getting on towards that Xbox position, spotting out that bomb, and just finding so much impact. Oh, it's getting out of hand at the moment in Malta vibes. How many force buys we are seeing? Not even in this matchup alone. I need to start making a tally. That was all right. That's a good shot.
It was all right. Are you sure? Like,
yeah, that's all right.
We've seen some good sniper shots down mid today, especially from the CT side.
We have. That is true.
And Mo in particular standing up above them all at this stage. Scout headshot found, short control established to back him up as they look for control. Kalinka does get Norbert, so there is trades to be found here, and Hellraiser being something successful with it. Mo desperately looking for Kalinka next up towards that top mid area, but he won't give away the kill here. 4-on-4 scenario.
Yeah, the CTs are really bunched up at the moment for K23. They've got 2 players out towards mid, a very aggressive short player of Nealon looking to chime into the action, and Kadio very passive at the B site. And for Hellraisers, they've only got 1 flash to really use any utility. That's all they've got. And they're just waiting for some CT aggression. And nothing is really coming out for Hellraisers. They're keeping their ground out through mid.
Out towards that control, Mo. Oh, he gets the shot off on JR. There you go. See the next man. I think he landed a tag on Problem.
Yeah.
Still fragging away. Sees another man towards the catwalk area. Finally, Kalinka deals with that scout. Problem has grabbed the M4 as well that they dropped on. I believe that was Norbert on the short control. Flashes to keep him suppressed here. 20 seconds. Hellraisers have got to go towards A. They should know that they have the short control. Nealon's ready for it. To the lineup. Spray goes well for only 1 pick, actually. So a plant can be secured. Hellraisers are actually in a good spot here.
They were so lucky that bomb didn't drop down into CT because that round would have been over from there. But a 2-on-2, AK for Problem, and Lime is on 100 HP with that Deagle. Both CTs coming in from the short position, Jay.
Once we get that AK back off to his man, Kios with the frag as a result on Problem. Lion picks it right back up. 2 kills to find. Spray goes manic to do damage. Needs that headshot. Needs his second. Doing so much on the numbers. But KNEO still comes out on top with the frags. And what could have been a great force back from Hellraisers is put to shame by K23 11 to the CT board.
They might force again, Jay. I can guarantee you that Hellraisers are going to force again. They got a bomb plant. They took 4 players down. They're going to take a tactical and go, right, let's get the rifles up again. Yeah, there it is. They realized the fact, you know, knowing HELLRAISERS, knowing how they play, they've kept the economy so low that this is the perfect opportunity to try and reset their opponents. We saw that on Inferno. Do you remember the first sort of 7 rounds that we've sort of been joking about? Is the fact they kept trying to force because they kept the economy so low from their opposition. You have a look at the buy coming out for K23. There's hardly any utility. Yeah, there's kits across. You've got Mo on a scout. You've got the M4s up, but it's the lack of utility that could be the big opening in for HELLRAISERS to go for this opportunity, to go for this force buy in round 19.
And of course, the key thing to remember is that the logic makes sense here for HELLRAISERS. You know, you talk about you talk about the economy game and how you could easily reset. If they win this round, suddenly they could be up to 9 to 11, and that's such a big difference by comparison to where they're at right now. The difference between 2 and 4 rounds on the deficit. Look at the scout. JR, he sees Mo boosted up. Look for that first frag, couldn't find it. They immediately get rid of that boost and fall back to passive standard positions. And K23 just have their positions dealt with. Nades up, actually evaded by Kalinka there. Molotov will force him back into the tunnels though, so it's early utility defaults coming in from both sides.
K23 need to try and hold on to as much of this utility as they don't have a lot of it, and even from that long challenge, Norba just jiggle peeking, falling right back to the side, giving that up for the T side. HELLRAISERS establishing a lot of map control with hardly any contest coming through from the CTs.
M4 boosted, now looking towards short at the edge of the smoke. It will fade and he'll find his way on towards that short position. HELLRAISERS up and over. JR taking facing one man, landing him on the shoulder, taking damage back though. It's a scout v scout duel again.
Yeah.
Stand at relatively even stances, but problem taking damage here leaves HELLRAISERS at a slight disadvantage. Kalinka finally gets mowed down. AK on site for Nina, lines up 2 and only gets those 2 frags. Keels can trade back on Kalinka though, towards the mid position. 3-on-2 scenario, the bomb plant can be received, and K23 have kits for a retake. They have a decent stance for this.
That's a huge double kill coming out for the in-game leader of that K23 side. Nealon coming up absolutely massive. And now the CTs have got to use that incendiary on towards the side. It's got to force Flourish out to the open, tries to reposition and can't make it work. JR's now the last one left being tagged up, and KDO is going to come alive on the retake. So a 12th round up for K23. Now I don't expect, with their loss bonus, they might actually force again with a bomb plant. I was going to say I don't expect them to force, but they might actually. I don't want them to, but they can.
It's a lot less justifiable in this round because obviously they've got 3 players safe from K23, so the economy is going to be in a much better position than it was in the last round.
Yeah.
No major reset potentials. We get to take a look once again at this transfer from Nealon. I think basically this player won the round for them there. The trades were good for the rest of K23, so here's double kill.
Oh, not quite force. Okay. I saw the investment. I was like, oh. Okay, no, it's not coming through. Got baited.
Oh, still going to get some value out of it. Kalinka with his scout in. 1 headshot found, challenging on towards the AWP of Kios now. And JR held out towards short. Norba going to get flashed out and falls back to passive position. So does the T-side player challenging him, and Kalinka smoked down to regain this control. So 1-for-1 trades come out. And I think the T-side could potentially find a rifle that was dropped there in mid.
Yeah, look, I think you're right there. If they can extend far enough. The thing is, though, do they want to extend all the way out through the mid doors? That's going to be the difficult challenge. And K23, a couple of players towards a B-bomb site. No one on the site itself. Oh, the timing on this from Kios if he peeks out.
Link sees his man. Can't seem to land the headshot another time around. This time KDO and Kios mob up those 2 frags. Bomb's been dropped. 2 players out towards the long control there on a flank and a lurk. As they know where the bomb is, there's no need to challenge these 2. Let the timer run low, maybe pick them off after the time and get even more value out of this round. Decimate the economy state of the HELLRAISERS side. I mean, they have to die here. They need to get the loss bonus together. Else they're going to be up the creek.
Yeah, they need to make sure they're getting a move on. Want to try and go down to these rifles on the city side. Maybe if they can pick any up. I'm not sure whether K23 have been able to sort of throw any into positions where it's not recoverable, like towards the boxes on CT or out towards the lower tunnels. You can kind of put guns up there that you need a boost on the opposition side to if you want to try and regain it. But it does look as if Problem's going to be able to pick up an M4, so something to work with, Jay.
Flaric, Deagle making noise, goes down to Keels, 10 seconds left, M4. Seen back here, KDO gets that kill. And there we have it, 13-7, K23 really making control of this. And to think that so far in this half, the only round that has gone the way of HELLRAISERS has been that pistol on T side. That's it, you know. Other than that, it's been all K23 with their forced back, with their own rifle rounds coming through. Another rifle set for HELLRAISERS. They need something confident here, else they may be shut out of this final map and eliminated in the quarters.
I believe you made a point too, Jay, about the last time these two teams faced off against each other on Dust 2. It was just an absolute slaughter for K23 on that CT side, and it's really showing that HELLRAISERS have just not been able to put up the fight on T so far. And this is probably one of the best opportunities going into the gun round, and even for Nealon doing a bit of early damage onto the short players, keeping them at bay. Now, HELLRAISERS have got the map control, whether it's been out towards short or mid, upper tunnels, out to long. They've got a lot of mid control, but it seems like it's just that extra little added bonus of winning out the round is really where it starts to struggle.
Flaric by Keels at the edge of that smoke, small gap to work with. Couldn't get the kill and couldn't get the damage either. No, the AWP backed up towards the mid door face. I think he may have just put a JR there. Doesn't get the kill for it. 60 seconds to the clock. Time is ticking. And we'll make their way up towards the mid control, split in towards B. Problem with that one frag on Mo. KDO all that stands here towards the B site control, and JR so ready for it. HELLRAISERS, a good, confident execution this time. And K23 may be left to save their weapons here. The economy is not in a fantastic position, so get the buy up in round 22. You can see this one back because HELLRAISERS have basically won it.
And they don't even smoke CT. All they do is they smoke CT from the short side, then wrap in through mid to B, and just don't really have to deal with anyone. The save attempt should be coming through. I'm even surprised that Norbert's this far pressed up. Maybe picks up an AK. So it's actually a decent sort of, not like round, but a decent recovery from K23 in the fact that they've been able to pick up an AK, they hold on to an AWP, and also that M4 into kill. So they bring a fair bit into that next round. But for HELLRAISERS, they can be chuffed because this is their second round in the second half now.
At last. But with the rifles being saved by K23, the main thing you have to remember is, like, listen, if they lose the next one, then all that effort goes to waste because you won't have a whole lot of, you know, money in the bank following this round. I mean, yeah, they have 4 players saved in, so they have a little bit to work with and a bit more of a bonus built up. But after you take into account the fact that these 4 players that stay alive have to invest into a utility, a lot in the case of JR and Flaric, Kalinka can't afford a full weapon, so someone's got to drop him. That's what Lime is going to be able to do here. The money's not going to be as great as you might think it would be, so this rifle goes well for K23. We could be back on track for a simple stomper on the CT side. M4's in across the rest of the board. Limited utility for KDO and Kios. That's fine considering there's full sets for Nealon, Norbert, and Mo. And Orbs down towards his mid control for JR. Orbs set for Mo on towards short. Establish their defaults once again, HELLRAISERS. This time leaning in towards the long house with not a lot of contention from K23. Only Nealon on this side of the map.
A bit of nade damage coming out towards the longhouse, but for Nealon, just peeking on his own, not really having any support from a teammate, does go down and opens up the opening opportunity for HELLRAISERS to find that first pick. And from here, we saw a little bit of aggression out from short. Now it's through the lower tunnels. Kalinka can get caught off guard.
KDO looking the wrong way, though. The timing was atrocious.
Wow.
That couldn't have gone worse for K23 now. They've got to focus entirely on their long control. Kalinga's going to make his way out towards short to try and start making his way in for a split, but I don't think they'll catch him off guard. K23 have to focus on the main side defensive.
Oh my goodness, yeah, you're right. You could not get any worse timing than that right there. And we see the over-aggression coming out from KDO, which looks like he probably catches off Kalinka off guard, but timing not working out. They're still going to try and go for this, Jay. Rather than just falling back and trying to save, they're... Oh, Kalinka's opened up B. They're just bringing the bomb over.
AWP gets Mo next, so they're picking them apart. Footsteps being heard. Keels now knows. They're still focused on the A-side control. They're going to have to at this stage because Keels is shut down. 28 seconds, and well, there's no chance for Norbert. Even if he got the bomb planter, it would have ended up with his life being traded. So too much players to deal with, too much presence on the site. And 9 to the board of HELLRAISERS. Okay. Now we have a game on our hands. Now we have a T side to work with. Still within 4 of the lead here against K23. So it's not a lot of progress being made by HELLRAISERS, but with the eco coming through here in round 23, we should be seeing us get to double digits at least. And everything else after that is going to depend on the buy-up.
JR, I'm trying to see if we can spot anything out through the mid-cross. We certainly saw Mo on that T side finding a lot of impact with the AWP and Scout and finding tags and kills. Now, this is really the opportunity where HELLRAISERS need to come into their own. Play with a lot of confidence, especially in a round like this. You should absolutely be able to rip apart the eco. There's not really too many upgrades coming out. No Kevlar, no utility. And it's a bit of aggression out towards the long house. Should be dealt with pretty easily from HELLRAISERS.
Up around from KDO's position. Mo and Nealon will make their way in to try and support him in the mid-door face. I don't think he'll catch anything off guard just yet. The flash is over. Swinging from Kalinka. Gets that one. Second player spotted. Second kill for him. Problem there to try and back up his man. Deagle can't land the shots. 3 kills for Kalinka. Nice and easy anti-eco to deal with. And the rifles come out from K23. Got to get this, so they want to maintain this control above them. HELLRAISERS, however, could be up to bring us within 1 of the lead against this CT force. It's been good so far, but they've just let it slip for a moment. Let's see if they can get themselves back on track.
Where is the response here from K23? HELLRAISERS now with 3 rounds in a row on this T side, fast out towards long. Problem needs a little bit of help, but he's got no one to try and back him up. They're all swinging on his position. He's done a lot of damage onto Norbert, but the T side need to get him out of this position, and there's just hardly any support there. Problems alone, but he's still being able to frag out, Jay.
Can't quite find the angles to make the kills work for the CT side. So in the end, it's a 2-for-1 favor to HELLRAISERS. And yes, he does escape. Lurks around here. Flaric. I don't know how he thought Nealon was there, but the timing was perfect. AK headshot, a 4-on-2. This round has been picked apart by HELLRAISERS, all down to longhouse control. And once again, K23 slipping back into that performance we saw in the first half of Inferno, where they looked so inconsistent and so awkward.
Wow, that was incredible. Like, that looked really awkward from HELLRAISERS. They looked like they should have been punished for that single player of problem out through Longhouse. He gets alive, escapes back, and they just trade out so nicely. And walking into this B bomb site, KDO's got the information, but he's all alone, and he can't find anything. This has to be a save now for Mo. HELLRAISERS, they have been able to find a form on this T side that we have yet to be seen, Jay. They are really starting to come alive now.
Took their time with it. And I don't think K23 are expecting it at this stage in the game. But here it is. 4 in a row for this T side. And most likely not going to be a buyback for K23. LWP of Mo being saved here. He's going to have to need to get that at least of something here in the next round. I don't think a buy-up is possible. Maybe a force back. A half buy, probably at best, actually, given the current loss bonus stage. Oh, and Lion deals with that AWP, so now it's got to be a full-blown half buy here.
That's big. That is very, very big, and HELLRAISERS will realize how big that is. There's no money. There is, like, yeah, you can half buy, but that AWP going into the next round would have meant quite a lot for K23, at least trying to keep this economy low. Look at the money for the T's. You've got Flaric on 13,000, JR over 10K. There is so much money for the T's to work with that even if K23 are able to chip back with a couple of expensive rounds, it won't hurt the economy. And even that for JR. I mean, what a shot through the smoke. We're seeing a lot of kills through smokes now for HELLRAISERS.
That's the second one in 3 rounds.
Sounds about right.
Simple stuff coming in to open up the man advantage. And of course, there's not much that K23 can do to respond to that because they just haven't got any sort of presence. Norbert does catch Lime at least. That's 1 frag. 2 players also on the B site. A boost up could catch them off guard. It all comes out to crosshair placement from Norbert. I think he's a little bit low to the headshot. Problem's not going to face him. He's expecting aggression. He will not receive any.
Taking their time, HELLRAISERS. And they're just waiting for the aggression. JR's got the AWP down towards mid, or at least looking through mid. Flaric is waiting for the over-aggression out through short or longhouse. That's why he's checking between the 2 angles. And HELLRAISERS are even backing off towards T-Spawn, looking to maybe try and go out through longhouse or try and get the Xbox smoke down and split up through short. Not interested over towards the B side of the map. And for K23, them pressing the upper tunnels is going to give them the info. There is nothing at this B bomb site. We can start to gamble up A.
Grab an AK as well for Keels here on the rotation. Looking towards mid, seeing nothing as well. Now that's going to have to confirm it. They've got to know it's a long commitment. They've got to know it's the A site. 30 seconds left for HELLRAISERS as well. If they want to rotate, they've got to do it right now. And even then, it's going to be down to the wire for the bomb plant. Now that it's ticked out towards 20 seconds left, we're looking at a full-blown A commitment and a full-blown A stack as well for the CTs. Flash is over. Mo gets a ding back. Kato gets a frag. Flaric trades it back. 13 seconds. Mo still fragging away. Looking for another, but no. Dropped by Flaric. AK in the back. Drops the bomb. AK responds back from Flaric of his own right. Smoke down. Bomb plant received. Norbert just got to take his time. Go for the knife. Are you serious? The cheek of the man on an eco as well to take it for K23.
Right, add that to the tally. That's another one. I can't believe that K23 have been able to win out that round. In for Norbert, rather than just spamming the smoke, goes in for the knife, gets a little bit of extra money for that CT side. Oh, man. Now they're running double orbs. Now they're really feeling it. And for HELLRAISERS, losing to that eco could be the biggest loss. They've missed a mid-smoke again. This time it's K23, and KDU gets tagged for it. How do they keep missing that? On both sides, too.
It works out better for HELLRAISERS, but finally Keels opens up the frag counts. Kalinka down. HELLRAISERS looking in towards the longhouse position. Nealon knows where JR is. Nade on his position. It's going to be a little bit low, so he doesn't take as much damage as he would have liked. But either way, got that short presence. The AWP flashed against. Good secondary follow-up, but they can't get the kill. They can't isolate the man.
A great utility usage coming out from K23, really limiting the opportunities for a kill with the AWP. I say that, flashbang into the angle, and JR still wins out that fight to bring it back into a 4-on-4. And from here, this could just be the straight short commitment with a late lurk out from long, coming out for problem.
They've got the fire and the smokes. Look at Norbert's angle. This is very uncommon. Will they get caught off guard with this? I mean, they all have their eyes focused on the site itself. Gap to work with. I think JR's checking it. Do they have info on that man? Sprays through. Time ticking. They're going to do some damage. He swings, takes his face, can't get a kill back. He gets one headshot in the end. JR trades, though. They've got info on where the T's are playing out there. They know it's got to be an A commitment with Mo fragging one. Flicks back. Does not see the man in the midst of the smoke. Lion can get us back to a 2-on-2 scenario. And the plant can be received, but Keels drops one. Problem trades it. Bomb on the site. 1-on-1. And Keels will fall back to a different position, allow the bomb plant go for a retake.
Oh, this could be big. This could be absolutely massive for both sides. Chaos in the 1-on-1. The money line not fantastic for K23. A lot of players very, very low on the reserve, and they're both going to be peeking into one another. But the crosshair placement is there for Chaos to find the 15th, to get that defuse through. And oh, you feel for problem. He was holding that so well. And Chaos has picked up that up, taking his time, but he's going to be able to get the defuse through.
I don't know what he's looking for there, but... What a round from K23. Back and forth, and HELLRAISERS came within maybe a couple of different positions to maybe catching this round for themselves. When it comes down to a 1-on-1 like that, you know you're probably within a touching distance of getting it for yourself. And now with the rifles back in, both teams investing. K23 on map match. Quarterfinal point. AWP set in for JR and Mo. Lackey utility for Mo, that's fine. HELLRAISERS a much more defined economy. Fast plays in towards the short control, hoping to catch a first frag, but K23 are back passive. They're not going to concede this position to them.
Fast out from mid, Kalinka. I tell you what, this could be an opening to try and get in for the mid to B, especially if they can force any rotations out to this mid position through CT. But for the CT side, no one's rotating off of A.
They've got short control on two players. It's going to be flashing for Nealon. You'll see the smokes coming in. This could be monstrous here. How much will he find? They come forward, smoke down. He's sitting in the midst of it. They've got towards CT spawn, so they completely evade that flank position. They drop in Mo and Norma get 2 frags. Problem trades back on 1, but it's a 2-for-1 with JR falling. Flourish desperately needs that trade. He'll get it. And the AWP is all that's left here towards the B side.
They've got bomb
One
control.
player cushioning. They do. Oh my god. That's massive for the CTs. Hellraisers desperately finding trades or looking for them at least. Mo's got no idea. Flourish is here towards side. It comes up the timing on the peak. The AWP shot misses. Flourish needs to get this kill to find something, but no, he goes down. Problem all that remains. He's got too many problems. 16-11 is the main one, as K23 will eliminate